Warrior Lore. Chapter 2177. In the land of legalism, all trespassers will die. Scram, scram. With a thunderous roar, several gigantic demonic beasts appeared from the city walls. They looked ferocious, their eyes ferocious, and their auras powerful. However, when these demonic beasts appeared and their gazes landed on the old monster green fox, yellow han, and dugu finchen, their bodies trembled for no reason. Their auras stagnated for a moment, and they almost fell from the city walls. Although these demonic beasts had reached the Beast Emperor realm, their cultivation was not bad. Even if they were in front of Yellow Han and Dugu Finchen, who had restrained their auras, their cultivation was nothing. Moreover, there was a Saint Beast expert like the old monster green fox present. Their invisible auras were enough to make the demonic beast's souls tremble. "Are you still so high and mighty?" Du Xiaofu raised his head slightly and looked at the demonic beasts. As his voice fell, he waved his long sleeve and swept it forward. A golden light accompanied by an invisible wave instantly rushed out. Bang bang. Wherever the golden light passed, the towering city walls instantly crumbled like tofu. Those ferocious demonic beasts didn't even have time to scream before they were crushed into dust and rubble. Who dares to trespass into the land of legalism? As the city walls collapsed, many figures rushed out from Sky City. Waves of powerful auras swept over, and their roars were like thunder, shaking the void. Swoosh, swoosh, roar. From the depths of Sky City, many figures were still flying over, and the demonic beasts roared. In a short time, many figures appeared at the collapsed city gates. Waves of auras gathered, and it was quite a scene. However, many of the demons that had been roaring viciously earlier began to tremble for some reason as they appeared at the city gates. They trembled all over, almost causing quite a few disciples of legalism to fall from the sky. You dare to kill the demonic beasts of legalism? Do you want to die? High up in the air, a burly man in the lead swept his gaze over the collapsed city walls below. His expression instantly turned cold as he stared at Du Xiaofu, Yellow Han, and the other three. However, as if he had sensed something, a cold light flickered in his eyes as his heart trembled for no reason. You don't have enough weight. Call that old bastard Qin Yunlong out. Du Xiaofu. After saying this, Du Xiaofu didn't say anything. How can ants like you call the divine ancestor's name? You're asking for it. The legalism mans, the legalisms, their divine ancestor, their god. How could the legalism's divine ancestor was? Legalism? Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure swooped down. In an instant, the light was as dazzling as the sun, and the mysterious runes of talismans filled the sky. Roar, roar. In a single moment, the middle-aged man's body was enveloped by the figure of a colossal, primordial beast. It opened its vicious mouth and brandished its claws, as if it wanted to tear Du Xiaofu to pieces. You overestimate yourself. Boom. This voice was like a great bell. A sharp claw appeared in the air, twisting the void. With a pitch-black spatial crack, it instantly slammed into the huge demonic beast. Rip, rip. The void trembled. The surrounding city walls exploded one after another. Huge rocks soared into the sky and then turned to dust in the terrifying energy. Under the horrified gazes of the legalism disciples, the demonic beast shattered inch by inch. It couldn't withstand a single blow. The martial, honorable realm expert of legalism was crushed like an ant by the claw. Not even his bones remained, and his divine soul was destroyed. The void froze. The legalism people on the city walls trembled. Their eyes were glazed over with horror. The one who attacked was the green fox old monster. He had already joined the desolate country. Under such circumstances, he had to take action. Activate the array. Quickly activate the array. After a moment, someone among the legalism people finally recovered from the shock. His voice echoed in the vast Sky City. Rumble. Suddenly, Sky City shook. Light soared into the sky, and mysterious talismans soared into the sky. Energy surged. In an extremely short period of time, a large array enveloped the entire Sky City. Dong dong. The urgent sound of a bell echoed throughout Sky City. Suddenly, Sky City was in a panic. All the legalism disciples looked at the void. They couldn't figure out who dared to offend the legalism at this moment. Could it be that those demons had come? Du Xiaofu didn't move again. He quietly waited outside the array. The green fox old monster, Dugu Finchen, and Yelu Han looked at Du Xiaofu. They seemed to want to ask something, but in the end, they didn't ask. Legalism. The vast space was ancient and magnificent. Mountains rose and fell, and clouds rose and fell. With the removal of the seal in this world, the space inside legalism was filled with spiritual qi. It was incomparably sacred. Originally, because Du Xiaofu had massacred the legalism, countless legalism experts had died. All of legalism was silent and oppressive. But recently, with the demon king Du Xiaofu's death and the emergence of one of the legalism's ancestors from the tomb of eternity, the legalism had regained its vitality. No one was worried that the legalism's fortunes had run out. Dong dong. Suddenly, the urgent sound of a bell echoed throughout legalism, spreading throughout the legalism. Swoosh swoosh. Within the school of legalism, experts rushed into the air from all directions as soon as possible, gathering in the inner city. After the 2 visits of Garuda Mora of the golden-winged Great Rocks and the Desolate Nation, legalism's response was indeed much faster. All of its experts gathered in the great hall of the inner city. The sovereign lord of legalism sat at the head of the hall, flanked by legalism elders and experts. Sovereign lord, it's not good. Powerful enemies have invaded. Elderly is no match for them. Someone from Sky City had long since arrived. His face was pale, and his heart was still palpitating. Are they demons? How many are there? A legalism elder immediately asked. The experts and elders of legalism in the great hall all paled. They're not demons. There are only 4 of them. The newcomer was panting, his face pale and his body trembling uncontrollably. For people, hearing this, the experts and elders of legalism in the great hall were puzzled. Who in the world would dare to offend legalism? Moreover, there were only 4 of them. Why are the 4 of them so panicked? What's going on? A legalism elder berated the newcomer. Elder, the 4 of them are 3 young people and 1 old man. They're too strong. Elderly was killed in 1 move. The newcomer had a sullen expression. The 4 of them were too strong. That formless aura made him feel weak even now. 3 young people and 1 old man. In the great hall, all of the experts of legalism were astonished and fell into deep thought. Do you know where the 4 of them came from? The sovereign lord's face was gloomy. He seemed to have aged even more than 2 years ago. The various blows to legalism over the years and the death of his son, Han Aoshi, had caused this sovereign lord of legalism to grow older. However, his old face was still sharp and clear. He must have been very handsome when he was young. Chapter 2178. Legalism, I don't know. The person shook his head. He was just a branch disciple of legalism. Although his cultivation was not bad and he had some status in legalism, he had not gone far from it. Just the 4 of you dare to barge into my school of legalism? How audacious. An expert from the school of legalism was furious. For people dared to treat the school of legalism as nothing. If they did not make them pay the price, probably no one would take the school of legalism seriously in the future. Lord, elders, those 4 people called the divine ancestor by name. They said. The person wanted to say something but stopped. He looked at the Lord and the elders in the hall, not daring to say anything. Speak, the Lord asked in a deep voice. There was a great majesty in his voice. They called the divine ancestor an old man. They want the divine ancestor to go out and see them, the person said bravely. Bang! A low muffled sound was heard. A chair in the hall was smashed into powder. An elder was furious. His eyes were cold. He shouted, "How dare you!" The divine ancestor is still in seclusion. For people dare to break into legalism, they should be killed. A legalism expert stood up. For people dared to make a scene in front of legalism. They did not take legalism seriously. They could not be let go. Elder Ming, please, the Lord of legalism said. His eyes flashed. The divine ancestor was in seclusion and should not be disturbed. Moreover, the divine ancestor of legalism was not someone who anyone could meet. Elder Ming was enough to deal with anyone below the Saint Plain. Legalism. Peaks connected and surrounded by peaks. It was like a city. Green and steep, clouds and mist covered the place. An ancient aura filled the place. In a secret room, a woman sat cross-legged with her eyes closed. She looked otherworldly. Sizzle. Suddenly, the woman opened her eyes. Purple lightning flashed in the depths of her eyes. A murderous aura flashed. The lightning in her eyes slowly receded and became clear again. Within Sky City, many children of legalism floated in the air. Densely packed figures stood on the city wall and looked at the 4 figures outside the formation, waiting anxiously for the experts of legalism to arrive. What are we waiting for? Yaluhan couldn't help but ask Du Xiaofu. Although the legalism gate had an extraordinary array, it was unlikely that anyone under the Saint Realm would be able to break through it easily. However, Yaluhan knew that no matter how powerful the formation was, it would not be able to stop Du Xiaofu, let alone the presence of the old monster green fox. Yaluhan didn't have a good impression of legalism. In the past, he had been hunted down by legalism. Now that he was here, he wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to collect his debt. Du Xiaofu glanced at Sky City and suddenly smiled. The main character is here, and so is the person we've been waiting for. Roar. Ow. As soon as Du Xiaofu's voice fell, the roar of beasts came from within Sky City's formation. It was like thunder, shaking the void. In the next moment, light surged from within the formation. Many fierce birds and beasts flew out and stood upright, exuding a terrifying aura. Their bodies were like dark clouds, and their aura made one's heart tremble. Light surged behind these fierce birds and beasts, like stars hanging low in the sky. Upon closer inspection, one could see that there were figures standing behind these demonic beasts. Their bodies were surrounded by light, shining like stars. In particular, the figures in the middle were surrounded by light that was as dazzling as the sun. In an instant, the entire Sky City was filled with light, as if gods had descended to earth. Greetings, Lord. Greetings, elders. The disciples of Sky City bowed, their voices shaking the sky. The High Lord had come in person, accompanied by many elders and powerhouses. Sky City's disciples, who had been terrified just a moment ago, felt a boost of confidence. At this moment, with so many experts present, who would dare to offend the dignified legalism? Du Xiaofu looked at the densely packed figures above Sky City. They deliberately released their auras, filling the sky and shaking the void. Many of them were familiar faces. When he saw the old man at the very front, the current sovereign of the school of legalism, his own grandfather, Du Xiaofu's calm gaze rippled without leaving a trace. Beside the Lord of Legalism, an old woman in her 70s stood quietly. She wore a plain dress and looked old. Her face was full of wrinkles, as if the vicissitudes of time were written on it. Du Xiaofu was familiar with this person. He was Elder Ming of Legalism. The seed of the nether insight grass in his body was given to him by this person. It was also this person who first introduced him to legalism. The people of legalism floated in the void, like gods descending from the heavens. Their eyes were bright, as if they were looking down on Du Xiaofu and the others. However, when these people's gazes fell on Dugu Finchin and Yelu Han, some of them instantly changed their expressions. Almost all the experts of legalism who had entered the heavenly devil battlefield had been exterminated by Du Xiaofu in the desolate country. However, there were a few who had managed to escape. When the heavenly devil battlefield reappeared, they immediately recognized Dugu Finchin and Yelu Han. Yelu Han, it's Fire Cloud, evil god Dugu Finchin. Someone immediately cried out in alarm. The heavenly fiend Yelu Han and the Fire Cloud, evil god Dugu Finchin were absolutely infamous. On the other hand, no one recognized the old monster of Green Fox. Swish, swish. Along with the exclamations, many eyes followed the exclamations and fell on Yelu Han and Dugu Finchin. I was wondering who it was. Yelu Han and Dugu Finchin. The two of you barged into our legalism and killed our legalism's disciples. Do you think our legalism has no one? The current legalist High Lord spoke. He naturally knew who these two were. Based on his age, he wasn't even as old as Yelu Han and Dugu Finchin. The few of you aren't qualified. Tell that old bastard Qin Yanlong to come out. Yelu Han's body rippled with a dark red baleful aura. His aura fluctuated with multicolored light, causing people to shiver for no reason. At this moment, Yelu Han and Dugu Finshan were secretly depressed. These people of legalism didn't recognize the demon king Du Xiaofu and the old monster of Green Fox. Instead, they were staring at them. If they knew that the old monster of Green Fox and the demon king Du Xiaofu were here, it was another matter whether these people of legalism would dare to come out or not. How dare you call our divine ancestor's name and insult our divine ancestor? How dare you? You should be killed. Among the terrifying figures that were as dazzling as the sun, a loud shout resounded through the sky like thunder. It reverberated for a long time without stopping. Insulting the divine ancestor of legalism in front of them, it was obvious that they didn't put legalism in their eyes. Oh, well. Boom. Along with this loud shout, the beasts outside the city roared. The auras of the experts of legalism surged, containing endless ancient majesty, shaking the sky. Bullshit legalism. So what if you insulted that old bastard Qin Yanlong? Amidst the roars of the demonic beasts, there was a slightly immature voice that clearly resounded throughout the entire Sky City. The voice was clearly calm, but it was deafening to the disciples of legalism, causing their souls to tremble. The mounts of the beasts of legalism were trembling, for no reason, and their fierce eyes revealed an inexplicable fear. Chapter 2179. Swoosh, swoosh. As the last word of the immature voice fell, two spatial cracks appeared in the void. The spatial ripples rippled like a tide, and two figures stepped out of the spatial cracks. One of them was a golden-robed young man. His skin was translucent and seemed to emit a faint golden luster. He had shoulder-length blonde hair and was thin but tall. His facial features were as handsome as if they had been carved by a knife. His pair of dazzling golden eyes seemed to be able to captivate souls. A little girl about 10 years old with a young face and a faint golden luster in the depths of her bewitching eyes slowly swept her gaze over the people of legalism. Wherever her gaze landed, the monster beasts and experts of legalism felt their souls tremble for no reason. Redbone Horse Monkey Du Xiaoyao. Purple Star Demonic Dragon Emperor. Oh no, those two malefactors are here. In an instant, the faces of the experts and elders of legalism, who had been overbearing and arrogant just a moment ago, were now filled with shock and fear. The news that the Purple Star Demonic Dragon Emperor had stepped into the Holy Beast realm had long been spread. Although legalism had not been born yet, they were very well informed. The relationship between the Purple Star Demonic Dragon Emperor and the Desolate Nation was probably known to everyone in the world. Now that this Holy Beast realm expert and Redbone Horse Monkey Du Xiaoyao had come, they were probably not here to pay a visit. The Lord of Legalism was not worried about Yelu Han and Dugu Finshan. Although these two people were not ordinary, they were far from enough to come to legalism to make a fuss. When he saw little Xingxing and Du Xiaoyao, the Lord of Legalism's expression immediately turned gloomy and ugly. The old monster of Green Fox's gaze fell on Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing. In the Tomb of Eternity, he had also seen how terrifying the Redbone Horse Monkey and the dragon were. At this moment, the old monster of the Green Fox tribe sensed the invisible aura of Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing. As an expert in the Holy Beast realm, how could he not sense that the two of them had probably stepped into the Sage realm? The old monster Green Fox's expression changed. With the Redbone Horseback Monkey, the Strange Dragon, and the Fire Thunder in the dark, Du Xiaofu, the Demon King, was more powerful than him even though he had not reached the Saint realm. He was afraid that the legalism would be defeated today. Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing arrived. They glanced at the legalism people in front of Sky City and then fixed their eyes on Du Xiaofu, Old Monster Green Fox, Yelu Han, and Dugu Finshan. Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing were a little surprised by Yelu Han and Dugu Finshan, but they were more surprised by the old monster Green Fox. In the Tomb of Eternity, the old monster Green Fox had fought. Little Xingxing and Du Xiaoyao had seen it with their own eyes. He was an expert in the Holy Beast realm. They didn't know why this expert in the Holy Beast realm was here. Du Xiaoyao, what do you want? At the same time, the voice of the Lord of the Legalism came again. However, his posture was much lower, and there was a trace of solemnity in his eyes. Ask Qin Yanlong and the other old man to get out here. Du Xiaoyao glanced at the lord of the legalism in front of her with her golden spiritual eyes and said flatly, "You are far from enough." Hearing this, the experts of the legalism trembled secretly. They were indeed not friendly. "Do you think you can act so impudently in front of my legalism with just the few of you?" The lord of the legalism said in a deep voice. Behind him was the entire legalism. Although he was secretly worried, his aura didn't change. He also subconsciously thought that Yelu Han and Dugu Finchin were in cahoots with Du Xiaoyao and Dugu Finchin. "Do you think there are too few of us?" Du Xiaoyao smiled coldly, and a streak of light suddenly shot out from her hand. Boom! When this streak of light shot into the sky, the entire sky above Sky City trembled. Accompanied by surging winds and surging clouds, a huge battleship floated in the air. An ancient aura filled the air, and the huge battleship towered over Sky City. It was much taller and more majestic than the walls of Sky City. The body of the battleship was mottled, and the aura it gave off was ancient. All of the disciples of the legalism in Sky City raised their heads and trembled, deeply shocked. Wash legalism in blood. On the deck of the huge battleship, a black mass of figures stood upright. Their roars were like thunder, and their invisible auras were awe-inspiring. The ones at the front were the child of the sacred array, Zhan Qingchun, Yi Lao, Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, Heavenly Wolf Gu Tianxiao, Dongfang Qingmu, Yi Piaoling, Du Yunlong, General, Gue Hua, and the other elites of the desolate country's world society. Roar! The heavenly beast hall's army roared, their voices shaking the world. Qiuli, Gue Che, Silver-winged demonic condor, mysterious serpent king, and the others released their auras intentionally or unintentionally, causing the demonic beast mounts of the legalism to almost fall from the sky. Outside Sky City, the wind and clouds surged. The huge battleship hovered in the sky like a dark cloud covering the sky. The intimidating aura on the battleship, accompanied by a ferocious, bloodthirsty aura, made one's heart tremble. The huge battleship and its mighty aura descended. Looking at the towering figures on the huge battleship, Old Monster Green Fox, Yelu Han, and Dugu Finchin trembled inwardly. When they saw the familiar figures on the battleship, Yelu Han and Dugu Finchin looked at each other. At this moment, they were certain that the Demon King in front of them had already prepared for this. He had appeared in front of the legalism with lightning speed. With such a huge lineup, the desolate country's elites had all come out. This was a huge blow to the legalism. On Elder Ming's aged face, his eyes had originally landed on Du Xiaofu intentionally or unintentionally, as if he wanted to spy on something. When little Xingxing and Du Xiaoyao appeared, he finally shifted his gaze. When the ancient battlefield appeared, a trace of seriousness quietly flashed across his face. It's the desolate country's elites. On Sky City, the legalism experts were inwardly trembling. Under the Saint Realm, the legalism did not have any foundation that could compare to the desolate countries. Just the heavenly wolf Gu Tianxiao, the snow spirit war monarch Xueqingrong, the undead spirit demon Dongfang Qingmu, the nether demon, Yi Piaoling, and Du Yunlong of the younger generation were enough to crush the legalism. Moreover, Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing were also present. All the disciples of the legalism branch family in Sky City had originally thought that with the High Lord and the legalism experts and elders present, they had enough confidence. However, when they heard the words desolate country and saw the densely packed figures and imposing auras on the battleship, they once again felt uneasy. Sky City had been razed to the ground because of the desolate country's Du Xiaofu. Quickly informed the divine ancestor to come out of seclusion. The High Lord of the legalism transmitted his voice to a legalism elder behind him. Looking at the huge battleship in front of them, he knew that the desolate country had come with ill intentions. For the desolate country to suddenly attack like this, it must have been premeditated. Himph! Don't think that just because you've broken through to the Saint Realm that you can act arrogantly in front of our legalism. Even if that bastard Du Xiaofu was still alive, he wouldn't dare to act so presumptuously in front of our legalism, let alone if that bastard Du Xiaofu was dead. A legalism elder plucked up his courage and spoke. He was confident. There were ancient experts of the legalism that had walked out of the eternal tomb. Even if that mutated dragon had stepped into the saint realm, it had only just stepped into the saint realm and could not be compared to the legalism. Even if the desolate country sent out all their elites, they still could not be compared to the two saints of the legalism. You're courting death. Little Xingxing's eyes darkened. How could he tolerate someone insulting his father? A cold light flashed and his little palm was about to slap forward. Pest! Suddenly, at this moment, a figure quietly appeared in front of little Xingxing. With a wave of his long sleeve, he stopped little Xingxing. Chapter 2180. There's still a use for a few of you alive. A faint voice rang out as Du Xiaofu appeared in front of little Xingxing. Oomph! Little Xingxing retracted his aura and coldly glared at the legalism expert who had just spoken, but did not attack again. Swish, swish. In an instant, numerous gazes landed on Du Xiaofu. Looking at the bearded man, both the legalism and the desolate country's people were secretly puzzled. Who exactly was this strange man that could stop little Xingxing's attack? On the warship, the sacred array Chilzhen Qingchun, Elder Yi, and the others were also puzzled as they sized up Du Xiaofu. Under everyone's gazes, Du Xiaofu soared through the air and headed straight for Sky City. Du Xiaofu did not stop little Xingxing because he was afraid that the legalism people would die. Instead, he knew that with little Xingxing's current strength, the legalism people would not be able to resist once he attacked, and there would be a few left alive. May I know your name, sir? Elder Ming stepped forward and blocked the legalism sovereign's side. He looked at Du Xiaofu curiously, his gaze solemn. You can't stop me. Du Xiaofu did not say anything else and did not respond to Elder Ming. Du Xiaofu knew Elder Ming's goal, which was to protect the legalism sovereign. His footsteps did not stop as he walked directly in front of the legalism people. Then let me see who you are. As Elder Ming's voice fell, a bright light shot out from his palm. Mysterious runes intertwined to form a stalk of grass. The spiritual leaves on the stalk were long and slender, as if they were real. The mysterious runes flickered. As the stalk of grass shot out, a pressure descended from the sky, causing people's eyes to tremble and their souls to feel refreshed. This stalk of grass seemed to be able to purify the spiritual platform and suppress all evil. This was the shadow of the dark seeker grass. The mysterious pattern of the talisman turned into a beam of light and directly swept towards Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu raised his eyes slightly, flicked his sleeve, and stretched out his hand. A violet flaming fingerprint shot out, pierced through the void, and directly flashed through the nether insight grass. In an instant, under the shocked gazes of the crowd, the illusory figure of the dark nether grass was burned to ashes by the raging purple flames. At the same time, Du Xiaofu appeared in front of Elder Ming. Elder Ming's expression changed drastically at this moment. His body instantly became resplendent, and light spread out from his doddering body. It swelled up, and in an instant, he turned into the enormous body of the nether insight grass. Boom! This stalk of dark insight grass was sparkling and translucent, like a star floating above Sky City. It erupted with the most brilliant light, and the pressure it exuded caused the ground outside Sky City to rapidly crack open. Half-Saint. On the warship, the expressions of the desolate country's experts changed. A sage-level dark, penetrating grass demon spirit was extremely powerful. It would be difficult for anyone below the sage realm to contend against it. Wong. The dark insight grass soared into the sky, erupting with resplendent light that enveloped Du Xiaofu. It emitted the sound of wind and thunder, and it could cause one's spirit to fluctuate. A mist-like light spread out, and those with lower cultivation couldn't see it clearly. Sir, show your true body. Why do you keep hiding? Elder Ming's voice came from the dark insight grass. The leaves of the dark insight grass pierced through the void like countless sharp swords, causing the void to be filled with cracks as they slashed towards Du Xiaofu. Elder Ming had a feeling that the bearded man had hidden his true body. He wanted to force him to show his true body so that he could see who it was. As you wish. Du Xiaofu looked at the dark insight grass in front of him, and his expression didn't change. He just waved his hand, and suddenly fanned forward. Suddenly, golden light erupted, and a golden talisman rune surged out like lightning. It turned into a brilliant golden wave, and a terrifying aura overflowed. Golden light gushed out like a sun. Screech! There was a faint rock cry that pierced through the clouds and cracked the rocks. The golden talisman runes surged forward layer by layer, and it turned into a golden wing in the void. Everywhere it touched, the leaves of the dark insight grass were crushed. In the end, the wing fiercely flapped on the dark insight grass. Bang! A low, muffled sound accompanied by a peerlessly tyrannical and ferocious aura swept over. The resplendent light on the dark insight grass instantly dimmed. The enormous dark insight grass was pressed down and heavily fell from the sky. The supreme beast ability of the golden-winged rock clan. On the warship, Zhen Qingchun, Du Shaoqing, Little Tiger, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, Elder Yi, Emotian Xiao, Gui Che, Yi Piaoling, General, Gu Xinyan, Yu Xianzi, and the others all trembled fiercely at this moment. As the Elder Ming's dark insight grass was slapped to the ground, the curly-bearded man's body squirmed and his face changed under everyone's gaze. Then, under everyone's incomparably shocked gazes, the curly-bearded man returned to his lean and tall figure and his resolute and determined face. His black hair was draped over his shoulders, swaying slightly, and his eyes were clear. When such a figure appeared, the whole place suddenly fell into a strange silence. Starting from the venerate of the current era, the faces of the legalists gradually turned from shock to horror. No, how is this possible? Isn't he dead? His divine soul has been destroyed. What's going on? Du Xiaofu? He's still alive. The elders and powerhouses of legalism were all dumbfounded, and their bodies trembled in shock. It's the Rock Emperor. The Rock Emperor is not dead. Brother. It's brother. He's still alive. Brother Xiaofu is not dead. Brother Xiaofu is still alive. I knew it. I knew the Rock Emperor would not die. The Rock Emperor is not dead. The Rock Emperor is really not dead. When that familiar figure appeared on the warship, Du Shaoqing, Little Tiger, Du Hao, Du Shui, Phantom Tiger King, Mysterious Dragon King, Yi Piaoling, Qingguyu, Stone, and the others were all excited. Greetings, Rock Emperor. Greetings, young master. The army on the warship saluted, and their aura soared into the sky. The sound waves were deafening. When that figure appeared, the desolate nation's army was in an uproar, and their eyes trembled. Their Rock Emperor, the soul of the desolate nation, was still alive. I knew it. This guy will be fine. He won't die. Senior Medicine smiled, but deep in his eyes, there were some tears. This little bastard. He even hid it from me. Zhen Qingchun curled his lips, looking very unhappy, but the excitement in his eyes could not be concealed. Among the crowd, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Old Monster Green Fox, Yelu Han, and Dugu Finshin were not surprised at all. They already knew. Peft! Senior Ming's original body, the dark insight grass, flew out from the ground and returned to his human form. His face was pale, and there was a trace of crystal blood at the corner of his mouth. He looked at the familiar figure in the sky with a complicated expression. From now on, we don't owe each other anything. Du Xiaofu looked at Senior Ming and said. Chapter 2181. As his voice fell, Du Xiaofu looked at the legalism supremacy. His gaze was calm, and he did not say anything. His figure drifted like a god, appearing in front of the legalism supremacy like a ghost. Little bastard! The old supremacy of the legalism supremacy recovered from his shock and revealed a vicious look. His son and grandson had all died in his hands. The legalism supremacy was almost unable to recover from the setback. Cold light surged as the supremacy of the legalism supremacy's body emitted a monstrous light. The aura in his body swept out like a storm, and accompanied by the momentum, he directly punched towards Du Xiaofu. Boom! This punch contained the momentum of the legalism supremacy, and a vision appeared in the sky, shattering the void. Du Xiaofu's expression did not change at all. He directly kicked the void, and accompanied by an explosion of golden light, he shook off the supremacy's punch. In the next instant, Du Xiaofu's leg kicked the supremacy of the supremacy's chest. PFFF, the old supremacy of the legalism supremacy, was unable to dodge at all. Blood immediately spurted out of his mouth, and his entire body was stunned. He was directly sent flying by the kick and crashed into the ground. Bang! The ground trembled as Du Xiaofu's figure appeared. He stretched out his hand, and with a vast force, he lifted the restriction. Not good. Quickly save the supremacy. It happened too quickly, so fast that the people of the legalism supremacy did not even have time to react. The legalism supremacy was already lifted up like a little chick. Clean up, kill that old thing. Little Xingxing pouted. He did not have a good impression of the people of the legalism supremacy. This scene shocked everyone present, and also caused the legalism supremacy elders to turn pale with fright. They instantly became uneasy. Some people of the legalism supremacy wanted to save him, but when they looked at Du Xiaofu, no one dared to step forward. Even Elder Ming was not a match for him, so who had the strength to do so? He is still your and Xiaojing's grandfather. You can't kill him. Elder Ming spoke, her face deathly pale. She knew that the youth who could be trampled on by anyone with legalism had now risen to prominence. Even she no longer waved her hand. She looked at Du Xiaofu and sighed. Your mother and sister are both under legalism. No matter how strong the desolate country is, it is still not enough to shake legalism. If you leave now, your mother and sister will be fine. Du Xiaofu glanced at Elder Ming, and then he gazed at the exalt of legalism in his hand and said, You know why I've come. Let me get my mother and Xiaojing out. From today onwards, I'll be even with legalism. PFFF, the exalt of legalism spat out a mouthful of blood. He stared at Du Xiaofu with a gloomy and vicious gaze. He laughed loudly, ha 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 ha. This laughter was ear-piercing, and coupled with the blood dripping from the corner of his mouth, it made him even more ferocious. He said, You killed your uncle, and now you still want to kill me? No matter where you go in the future, the blood of legalism will flow in your veins. I am your grandfather. If you dare to kill me, this is treason. Your mother will not forgive you. Ha 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 ha. This cold laughter echoed in the air. Gazing at the sky, Zhen Qingchun, Elder Du Yunlong, Serious Lonely Sky Howl, and the others in the desolate country all had slight changes in their expressions. Du Xiaofu stared at the exalt of legalism in front of him. His expression was still calm, and he only watched quietly. As his voice fell, he said softly, For my mother's sake, I will indeed spare your life. However, do you really think that I can't do anything to you? PFFF, as his voice fell, Du Xiaofu directly threw the exalt of legalism behind him. PFFF, little Xingxing reached out with his claw and grabbed the exalt of legalism in his hand. Then, he lifted the exalt of legalism on his shoulder. Du Xiaofu, do you really think that you can shake legalism with just these people? You are courting death. That demon god didn't kill you. Today, you are fated to die here. The exalt of legalism laughed coldly. His voice was ear-piercing. Papa, papa. Following the crisp sound of slapping, the exalt of legalism's words came to an abrupt halt. Everyone looked towards the source of the sound. An old man's face was being slapped repeatedly by little Xingxing's small white hand. Little Xingxing said indifferently, Old thing, if my father doesn't kill you, why don't you guess if I dare to kill you? If you continue to spout nonsense, I will slap you to death. Small palm prints landed on the exalt of legalism's face. Instantly, his old face swelled up, and he spat out blood along with his broken teeth. His eyes were lifeless, and his expression was complicated. He was unable to regain his senses for a long time. The exalt of legalism was being slapped in front of the legalism gate. This wasn't just a slap to the face of the exalt of legalism, but a slap to the face of the entire legalism. Everyone from legalism was also stunned. They stared at their exalt being slapped in front of their eyes. They were all dumbfounded and couldn't believe what they were seeing. Bastard, fight it out with them. This is the greatest provocation to legalism. Fight them to the death. Where is the divine ancestor? Why hasn't the divine ancestor come yet? Afterwards, The eyes of the experts from the school of legalism reddened in shock. They could not accept such humiliation. Boom! Aura after aura exploded out, and light exploded out like stars. The aura surged, causing the entire Sky City to tremble. Awoo! The demonic beast of legalism roared, and its roar was ear-splitting. Then kill. Du Xiaofu was still very calm. His voice echoed in the air and landed on the spacious battleship. The enmity between Du Xiaofu and the school of legalism was so deep that it could not be resolved. The school of legalism had been humiliated and bullied time and time again. They had been treated like ants, humiliated, lied to, and bullied. They had even almost died to the hands of the school of legalism a few times. Du Xiaofu was surprisingly calm when he came here again. Kill. Wash the legalism with blood. Boom, boom, boom. However, as soon as Du Xiaofu finished speaking, a powerful aura suddenly surged from the huge warship. Numerous figures charged over like bolts of lightning, and a bloody baleful aura swept through space. Rumble. In an instant, the wind and clouds surged, and lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Mo Tianxiao, Yeluhan, Dongfang Qingmu, Nether Demon, Du Yunlong, Little Tiger, Gui Che, Silverwing Demonic Condor, Du Xiaoqing, and so on all came out together. All kinds of talismans and mysterious runes surged, and the sound waves were like thunder that shook the world, resounding throughout Sky City. Kill. The 18 celestial guards moved together. The 18 figures were like 18 sharp weapons, and a bloody aura swept out. It was incomparably terrifying, and it shook the void. In an instant, when Yeluhan, Dugu Finshan, and the old monster of the Green Fox tribe were still hesitating whether to attack or not, the figures in the sky collided with each other. Rumble. This was too shocking. Although Nether Demon, Mo Tianxiao, and Dongfang Qingmu hadn't set foot in the Saint Realm, they were all extremely powerful. However, each of the autarchs was ferocious and terrifying. They instantly clashed with the legalism experts. This scene was too terrifying. The void was chaotic, and the space exploded. Energy ripples spread out, and the sound of sonic booms rang out incessantly. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, some people exploded, and some demonic beasts were torn apart. A bloody mist poured out. The update today was slow. Little you wanted to write better, so he deleted a lot of words. However, there are still more. I will finish the 5th update. However, everyone can save it for tomorrow morning. I don't know when it will finish. I apologize. Chapter 2182. Legalism's powerhouses had mostly been killed in the heavenly devil battlefield. There weren't many legalism powerhouses left, and they couldn't be compared to Dongfang Qingmu, Nether Demon, Lian Qingrong, and Nether Demon. The consequences were obvious. As soon as they clashed, the void exploded. Some legalism powerhouses were forced back, spitting out blood as they stared in shock. The legalism supremacy held in Little Xingxing's hand watched the legalism powerhouses retreat in defeat. His eyes couldn't help but turn pale. They're too strong. Retreat to the city. Inform the divine ancestor, quick. They had only just come into contact with Yifutian, but there were already elders and strong cultivators from the Fa family who shouted loudly. They were no match for Yifutian at all, and there was no way they could be compared to the group of supreme cultivators from the desolate nation. As soon as they clashed, these legalism powerhouses and elders couldn't resist and immediately retreated. In their panic, most of them hid inside the array. Can you hide? Du Xiaoyao puckered his lips slightly, and he stood out from the crowd. He was born with the imposing aura of a king that ruled over the world, and he revealed a strand of chaotic qi. As soon as he finished speaking, his figure strangely vanished. When Du Xiaoyao's figure reappeared, he was already outside of Sky City's defensive array. His golden eyes were deep and profound, giving off an oppressive feeling. He formed a hand seal and golden light erupted from his body. The phantom of a red-bone horse monkey, several thousand feet in size, enveloped him. Roar! The red-bone horse monkey stretched out its claws, and golden talisman runes shot out from the claws. They contained a strange power that caused the void to shatter as they slammed into the energy barrier of Sky City. Crackle. The claws contained a mysterious energy. The talisman runes gushed out, and a terrifying energy rippled wherever they passed, causing the defensive array of Sky City to tremble. Then, under the shocked gazes of the entire Sky City, the array exploded. Rumble, violent energy swept through the sky, causing the entire world to tremble violently. It was as if the heavens and earth were collapsing, the sky was shattering, and countless runes were collapsing. It was a terrifying sight. The defensive formation that legalism had set up in Sky City was definitely not weak, and it had taken a lot of effort. However, the defensive array glyphs were not the trump card of legalism. After all, this was only the periphery of legalism. In addition, a talisman formation that could stop a Saint Realm cultivator was not easy to set up. Moreover, if Du Xiaoyao wanted to break the formation, ordinary talisman formations would not be able to stop him. The talisman array collapsed, and the enormous energy swept out in all directions. The city wall collapsed, and many figures on the city wall were affected. Some of them directly fell down and spat out blood. Chaos ensued, and miserable cries rang out continuously. Kill. Yi Piaoling and the rest of the 18 celestial generals, Heavenly Wolf Gu Tianxiao, Dark Hell Emperor Ming Yao, and the rest of the desolate country's fiends followed closely behind. Rumble. Wherever the Du family disciples passed by, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the void, killing in all directions. Boom. The sacred array child Jin Qingchun did not say anything and directly activated the 6 wheels blood-killing array. The murderous aura filled the sky and spread across the sky. There were also terrifying existences like Qiuli, Thunder Eagle King, Mieming King, Yunzhan, Guiche, and others. In an instant, they roared and immediately pounced forward. Wherever these guys went, everything was destroyed and razed to the ground. Such a scene made the old monster Green Fox secretly click his tongue. The desolate nation had gathered such a group of fiends, and each of them was a supreme genius. In another 100 years, no force in the world would be able to stop them. The 9 great families, the Phoenix clan, and the dragons would definitely not be able to stop them. How dare you? You're courting death. At this moment, a deafening voice came from Sky City. The world trembled, and a vast wave suddenly swept out, as if it was going to explode the surrounding void. Jin Qingchun, Mo Tianxiao, Gui Che, Lian Xingrong, Mieming King, and the others were all affected. Boom! The void trembled, and a terrifying light swept out from the void, like a wave of the void. It was like a dazzling electric arc that illuminated the void, sweeping toward Mo Tianxiao, Gui Che, and the others with an unparalleled momentum. The killing intent was so strong that it shattered the void. Du Xiaoyao looked at the sky, her spirit eyes clear. At this moment, her golden robe fluttered, and her aura erupted in an instant. She directly punched out, and the momentum in all directions shook the sky. Bang! Such a muffled sound exploded above Sky City, shaking the entire Sky City. The sound of wind and thunder echoed in the void, and a large area of the void exploded in the sky, then recovered. The terrifying fluctuations and aura also made Mo Tianxiao, Jin Qingchun, Yi Piaoling, and the others stop in their tracks. That aura was too powerful. They were supreme geniuses, but they knew that they could not be affected because it was a Saint Realm expert who had come. Saint Realm. Such a strange voice resounded, accompanied by a figure standing in the void, blooming with light like a rising sun. There was an invisible force that spread out in all directions. Divine Ancestor, Divine Ancestor, avenge the dead disciples. Divine Ancestor, please save the Supreme Lord. The desolate country has gone too far. In an instant, the disciples of legalism in Sky City were overjoyed. They saw hope, a life-saving straw. The arrival of the Divine Ancestor would definitely be able to suppress and kill all enemies. Kiki, the Supreme Lord of Legalism, sneered, blood dripping from the corner of his mouth, adding to his ferocity. Slap. The crisp sound of a slap came from the Supreme Lord of Legalism's face. Little Xingxing calmly glanced at the Supreme Lord of Legalism and said, "Behave yourself, or I'll slap you to death." The Supreme Lord of Legalism was stunned. As a Supreme Lord of Legalism, a person who could make the world tremble with a stomp of his foot, he represented the entire legalism. But today, in front of everyone's eyes, in front of the gate of legalism, he was continuously slapped in the face. This really made him stunned. Qin Yanlong had arrived. He looked at Du Xiaoyao, whose golden robes fluttered in the wind. His eyes trembled with astonishment. That was the Saint Realm. This red-bone horse monkey had also stepped into the Saint Realm. Then, when Qin Yanlong's gaze fell on Little Xingxing and Du Xiaofu, who were carrying the Supreme Lord of Legalism, he immediately trembled violently. There was some disbelief in his eyes, and then he said gloomily and eerily, "Little bastard, you still won't die? If even legalism can't kill me, who can?" Du Xiaofu said. Everything he had suffered in the past few years could not compare to the humiliation of legalism. However, the sharp power of his Yuan spirit could sense that Qin Yanlong's aura was actually much stronger than it was in the Tomb of Eternity. It seemed that the intensification of the energy of the world had allowed these saints to rapidly recover and improve. As a member of the 9 great clans, their recovery was even faster. Hearing this, Qin Yanlong looked at Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, and Little Xingxing in front of him. His eyes trembled with complex emotions, and he became even more resentful and gloomy. "Old thing, you've finally come out." Little Xingxing threw the Supreme Lord of Legalism that he was carrying like a chick to Zhan Qingchun, who was not far away, and his small body took a step forward. Rumble. With every step he took, Little Xingxing's seemingly small and tender body's vigorous aura became denser. For no reason, it suppressed everyone's souls and made them tremble. It was as if every step he took was trampling on their hearts. After a few steps, he stood side by side with Du Xiaoyao. Little Xingxing's aura also climbed to its peak. Roar. The faint roar of a dragon reverberated. With Little Xingxing as the center, starlight rippled, and the surrounding space distorted. It was blazing hot, and there were golden flames burning in his eyes. At this moment, all the beasts in the surroundings trembled, and their beast souls trembled. Boom! At the same time, Du Xiaoyao stared at Qin Yanlong. A vigorous aura in her body slowly rose and circulated like a volcano. A powerful pressure that could suppress all directions quietly surged and rushed into the clouds. In an instant, 2 saint auras appeared in the sky. The light was not as dazzling as Qin Yanlong's, but their auras were not inferior. 2 saint auras appeared in the sky, facing Qin Yanlong from a distance. At this moment, the desolate country's army was boiling, and the blood in their bodies surged. The desolate country now had 2 saints. Du Xiaoyao has also broken through to the saint stage. The desolate country has 2 saints. In the sky, the desolate country's army was pleasantly surprised, and their blood surged. With 2 saints in the sky, this was the desolate country's current strength. Legalism, which had always been high and mighty, was nothing. From now on, the disciples of the desolate country would be able to advance alongside the 9 great families. The disciples of the 9 great families, the dragons, and the phoenixes would no longer be superior to them. God bless the desolate country. The 2 saints stood together, and 2 vast auras swept out. Some of the elders of the Du family in the desolate country's army, as well as the South Vanquishing King and the North Vanquishing King, had tears in their eyes. The Rock Emperor was not dead, and the desolate country's 2 saints were standing side by side. This made them excited. How many years had it been? Today's scene was something they had never dreamed of. With 2 saints in the sky, the disciples of legalism and the experts in Sky City, who had originally seen hope, once again fell into a serious and nervous state. The red-bone horse monkey Du Xiaoyao had also broken through to the saint stage, and this was definitely not going to be easy to deal with. Facing each other from a distance, Qin Yanlong felt the auras of Du Xiaoyao and Little Xingxing. His face was gloomy and ugly. Do you think that you have the right to be arrogant in front of legalism just because you have just stepped into the saint stage? You should know that there is a huge gap between the saint stage. If you think that you can act presumptuously in front of legalism with just the two of you, then I can tell you that the two of you are far from enough, Qin Yanlong said with a cold smile. During this period of time, Qin Yanlong had made rapid progress. Over the years, he had been unable to make any further progress and had even been slowly retreating. Now that the energy of heaven and earth had recovered, everything that had happened over the years had become his accumulation. With this accumulation, he had soared into the sky. His progress was rapid, and he had made rapid progress. Therefore, Qin Yanlong had the ability and confidence to do so. What could two juniors who had just stepped into the saint stage do to him? Chapter 2183. Qin Yunlong's old face turned cold as he stared coldly at Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing. A majestic aura surged into the sky like a tsunami, whistling through the sky with the rumbling sound of wind and thunder. A dazzling light spread out in the void, and a mighty force surged out. Qin Yunlong shouted, "How dare you act so atrociously when you've just stepped into the saint realm? Today, I'll settle everything once and for all. You won't be able to return. Old man, you're as talkative as ever. Since you think 2 Saint Realm experts are too few, let's add one more." Du Xiaofu raised his eyes slightly and looked at Qin Yunlong, whose aura shook the sky and whose light surged into the sky. As soon as he finished speaking, he waved his hand slightly behind him. As soon as Du Xiaofu finished speaking and waved his hand behind him, a terrifying greenish-yellow light whizzed out from behind him like an erupting volcano. The void rumbled, and the earth trembled. Boom, boom. At this moment, a greenish-yellow light burst out and flooded the void. A thin and wretched figure instantly appeared in the sky, and he stood not far away from little Demon Du and little Star. Dazzling and yellow light suffused out, and a fierce and ghastly aura climbed to the peak and swept through the sky. Saint Beast Realm, another Saint Beast Realm expert. What's going on? Why is another Saint Realm expert here? The entire place was stunned. That terrifying aura was unreservedly proving that it was another Saint Beast Realm expert, another Sage Realm expert. Qin Yunlong, who was shrouded in the light, was stunned. When he arrived here, his gaze was directly attracted by Du Xiaofu, little Xingxing, and Du Xiaoyao. In addition, the old monster green fox deliberately hid his aura with his talent, so he didn't notice him. At this moment, when he saw the wretched figure, how could Qin Yunlong not recognize him? It was the old fox, the old monster green fox. Old monster green fox, what do you mean? Qin Yunlong stared at the old monster green fox. He couldn't figure out why the old monster green fox was with Du Xiaofu. Didn't that old fox sneak attack Du Xiaofu in the Tomb of Eternity? Why were they together now? Disciples of the Desolate Nation, please bear in mind that Senior Qinghu has joined the Heavenly Beast Hall and is now the Heavenly Beast Hall's sacred envoy. Du Xiaofu faintly smiled. His voice was like thunder, echoing in the void. He slowly continued, Heavenly Demon Yelu Han and Fire Cloud Evil God Dugu Fenshin will both join the Desolate Country as country protectors. What? When these words were spoken, the crowd was once again stunned. The Guardian Sacred Envoy of the Celestial Beast Hall, a sacred beast expert, had joined the Desolate Country. The Heavenly Fiend Yelu Han and the Fire Cloud Evil God Dugu Fenshin were the country-protecting venerables of the Desolate Country. These two were the infamous supreme martial artists. The Heavenly Beast Hall's sacred envoy is a sacred beast expert from our Desolate Country. My Desolate Country has gained 2 more country protectors, Nirvana Sovereigns. Oh my God, did I hear wrongly? Fire Cloud Evil God Dugu Fenshin, Heavenly Demon Yelu Han, and that sacred beast expert have all joined our Desolate Country. The Desolate Country's army was shaken again. This was no different from throwing a bomb into a calm lake. Heavenly Demon Yelu Han and Fire Cloud Evil God Dugu Fenshin had joined the Desolate Country. This meant that the Desolate Country would have 6 country protectors in the future. Heavenly Wolf Gu Tian Xiao, Snow Spirit Battle Empress Lian Qingrong, Undead Spirit Demon Dongfang Qingmu, Dark Hell Emperor Ming Yao, Heavenly Demon Yelu Han, and Fire Cloud Evil God Dugu Fenshin. These 6 supreme martial artists, 6 country protectors, No one in the world could bring out such a terrifying lineup. These were the 6 supreme Nirvana sovereigns. Any one of them could be said to be the best among their peers. In the future, they would definitely have a great chance of breaking through to the Saint Realm. Heavenly Wolf Gu Tianxiao, Lin Qingrong, Dongfang Qingmu, and Ming Yao were all moved. However, they didn't seem to be surprised that Yelu Han and Dugu Finchen had joined. They knew very well that Heavenly Demon Yelu Han and Dugu Finchen had been tricked by Du Xiaofu a long time ago. However, Old Monster Green Fox's addition surprised Emo Tianxiao and the others. Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, Old Yi, Jin Qingchun, Yu Xinzi, and the general were all stunned. This was another 3 experts joining. Greetings, Palace Protector, Sacred Envoy. Greetings, Country Protector, Sacred Envoys. Ghost Chariot, Illusion Tiger King, Silver Winged Demonic Condor, Mysterious Dragon King, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, Chao Yu, and Hua Fankong all came back to their senses. Greetings, Palace Protector, Sacred Envoy. Greetings, Country Protector, Sacred Envoys. Awu. In an instant, the desolate country's army roared and their auras shook the clouds. Heavenly Beast Palace and the desolate country's army saluted. Their voices echoed in the sky and didn't dissipate for a long time. At this moment, Yelu Han and Dugu Finchen could only smile bitterly and soar into the sky. Old Monster Green Fox's gaze swept across the desolate country's army. His wretched face was serious, but he couldn't help but feel a different kind of satisfaction in his heart. Even a group of Supreme Being experts had to salute him. This treatment was not bad. Old Monster Green Fox had good eyesight. He could tell that the Heavenly Beast Palace's army of demonic beasts was definitely not ordinary. He was the Palace Protector's Sacred Envoy, which meant that he could command the Heavenly Beast Palace in the future. With the desolate country's current lineup, Old Monster Green Fox would be able to hold his head high in front of the 9 great families, the dragons, and the phoenixes in the future. Compared to the desolate country's excitement, the disciples of the School of Legalism all had grim and ugly expressions. Another 2 Supreme Being experts and a Holy Beast expert had joined the desolate country. This lineup was too powerful. Old Monster Green Fox, how dare you? The entire Fox clan will suffer the consequences and pay the price because of you. Qin Yanlong shouted angrily. He never dreamed that Old Monster Green Fox, this old fox, would join the desolate country and follow Du Xiaofu to deal with legalism at this time. Qin Yanlong, do you think that the Beast region is like your legalism? You can't go there just because you want to. Old Monster Green Fox was secretly enjoying himself when he was interrupted by Qin Yanlong's shout. His face instantly darkened, and he looked at Qin Yanlong with a cold glint in his eyes. His aura fluctuated and shook the clouds. He said, "Besides, do you really think that I'm afraid of you? If you want to fight, I'll accompany you." Good, good, good. Ha 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 ha. After saying good 3 times in a row, Qin Yanlong was so angry that he started laughing. When his laughter stopped, he stared at Old Monster Green Fox coldly and said, "If I don't kill you today, no one will take legalism seriously in the future." As his last word fell, Qin Yanlong raised his hand. Light erupted from his body, and his hand was covered in talisman patterns that faintly distorted the void. At this moment, the earth began to tremble and cracks appeared on the surface of the huge sky city. The light on Qin Yanlong's hand became brighter and brighter. Then, Qin Yanlong's hand directly slapped toward Old Monster Green Fox. Rumble. When the palm landed, the earth shook and the void trembled. Strange phenomena accompanied it and caused the entire square outside Sky City to sink. The ground kept exploding. It was a terrifying scene. Chapter 2184. The desolate nation's army tensed under the invisible pressure, and the chi in their bodies froze. The palm strike seemed to have come from the depths of the void. It twisted the void and enveloped the Old Monster Green Fox. At this moment, the Old Monster Green Fox's eyes quietly turned into a strange greenish-yellow color. A sharp and chilling aura reached its peak and swept through the void. "Let me deal with this person." Suddenly, a voice was heard. The voice was calm, but it sounded like thunder. At the same time, A spear radiance emitted dazzling purple electric arcs in the void. It pierced through the void and pierced toward Qin Yanlong's terrifying palm strike. Rumble. The spear radiance emitted dazzling purple electric arcs. The muffled sound was like thunder, shaking the entire sky city. The spear radiance was sharp and dazzling, as if the god of thunder had arrived in person. It pierced through the void with the sound of lightning and thunder. Its aura was murderous, and lightning runes intertwined. Rumble. In a flash, the old monster green fox was shocked. The spear radiance collided with the terrifying palm strike. The void was distorted like a fried dough twist, and a strange rumbling sound was heard. Crack, crack, cracks appeared on the ground inside and outside the sky city because of the terrifying collision. The cracks spread in all directions like a spider web. Clatter. The aftermath of the energy strength chi that filled the sky poured out in torrents, howling as it surged. Wherever it passed, the void shattered, and the waves surged. Just the fluctuations alone were incomparably intense, causing solitary Sky Howl, Dongfang Qingmu, and the others to continuously retreat. Lonely Sky Howl, Yelu Han, and the others' expressions changed. This was the strength of a saint. Even they could not touch the aftermath of the collision. The void rumbled, and the earth cracked. Qin Yanlong's eyes were filled with shock. Du Xiaoyao, Little Xingxing, and the old monster of the Green Fox tribe, who had retreated on the side, were also surprised. Legalism, mountains, and lush green. A beautiful figure stood in the shade of the mountains. Her green dress fluttered in the wind. She had an otherworldly face, and her ethereal eyes shone like stars. Then, a beautiful figure flashed out and streaked across the sky. Her green robe fluttered in the wind, and her long black hair fluttered behind her head. She was as otherworldly as an immortal, extraordinary and proud of the world. In the void outside Sky City, Du Xiaofu abruptly raised his head as the spear neared, a ripple in his calm eyes. Above the void, energy fluctuations swept out and dispersed, and a dazzling purple lightning spread out. As a tall and straight figure appeared in the sky, the dazzling lightning armor was filled with lightning, and there was a misty air lingering around it. This figure traversed the void. The figure was wrapped in lightning and stood upright. He held a lightning spear in his hand. His hair fluttered, and the sound of dragons and snakes could be faintly heard. Chi-la-la. As the 9 figures landed behind Du Tingxian, lightning filled the air. It was Elder Lei and the 8 powerful puppets. Thunder Warlord Du Tingxian. Someone in the legalism group exclaimed, did he break through? Du Xiaofu smiled. The divine lightning armor and divine lightning spear were both here. His alcoholic father was also here. With his sharp primordial spirit, it was not difficult for Du Xiaofu to detect that his drunkard father's aura was at the holy martial realm. It's third uncle. Third uncle is here. Tingxian is out. Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, Du Gui, Du Hao, and some other experts of the Du family were pleasantly surprised. The one who had just blocked Qin Yunlong's attack was Du Tingxian, the sovereign of the Du family. You've also broken through to the holy martial realm? Qin Yunlong's eyes couldn't help but fluctuate violently as he gazed at the figure that was enveloped by lightning. The fluctuation of the Saint Martial Realm's aura that was practically undisguised announced that the person he'd once regarded as an ant and was utterly unworthy of marrying a descendant of the school of legalism had stepped foot into the Saint Martial Realm just like him. Not bad. I've reached the holy martial realm. Du Tingxian looked at Qin Yunlong and said. His voice was like thunder, making the experts present shudder with fear. Holy martial realm. Third uncle has broken through to the holy martial realm. Holy martial realm. Our barren country has another saint. Boom. The entire place was shaken, and the barren country's army felt their blood boil. It was the Rock Emperor's father, Du Tingxian, the Thunder War King, who had also stepped into the holy martial realm. In the current world, there were many legends about the Thunder War King. Back then, his cultivation had been sealed, but he had destroyed himself and entered the space of the deity plane to recultivate. After going through many hardships, he had been reborn and become a great sovereign. Now, he had stepped into the holy martial realm and joined the ranks of the experts of the current era. For Holy Martial Realm. For Holy Martial Realm experts. The barren country's army was in an uproar, and their blood boiled. For Holy Martial Realm experts, how terrifying was that? Holy Martial Realm. Our Du family will prosper. Our ancestors, bless our Du family. Some of the elders accompanying the Du family were so excited that tears streamed down their faces, and they cried tears of joy. Compared to little Xingxing and Du Xiaoyao, this was a real Holy Martial Realm expert from the Du family, who was the top existence in the current era. From now on, the Du family would become a real big family in the current era. They had come from a small border town like Stone City, and now they were sweeping away legalism. All of this was because of their ancestors, and the Du family would prosper. With a Holy Martial Realm expert, legalism is in big trouble. The old monster Green Fox's eyes flickered, and he couldn't help but sigh for legalism. With another Holy Martial Realm expert here, legalism would be completely defeated today. Deep in his heart, the old monster Green Fox couldn't help but tremble. If he joined the Heavenly Beast Hall, not to mention having a supreme expert like Master Fire Lightning as a deterrence, in the future, even without Master Fire Lightning, there would still be the Redbone Horse Monkey, Little Demon Du, Yilong, Du Tingxian, and other terrifying youths. If he had any second thoughts, his fate could be imagined. Qin Yanlong's eyes twitched. Du Tingxian had stepped into the Holy Martial Realm, and now there were 4 Holy Martial Realm experts. It was really difficult for him to deal with them. Qin Yanlong knew that Yilong, Redbone Horse Monkey, and Du Tingxian were all terrifying masters. As soon as Du Tingxian finished speaking, he went to Du Xiaofu's side. The lightning in his eyes dissipated, and he looked at Du Xiaofu, sizing him up. The father and son looked at each other, and they both smiled. When Yu and Xiaojing were born, heavenly thunder struck the world, and there was a vision of heaven and earth. It was the sign of the birth of gods and the Holy Martial Realm. Therefore, I knew that my son wouldn't die so easily. Du Tingxian was the first to speak. Looking at Du Xiaofu in front of him, a smile appeared on his handsome face. Then, he glanced at Du Xiaofu and said, "But it would be inappropriate if I didn't come to pick up your mother. Fortunately, I made it in time. I even shaved and changed my clothes." Du Xiaofu smiled helplessly, looked at his drunkard father, and said, "I don't think mother will dislike you. Don't be too nervous." Chapter 2185. Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. Du Tingxian smiled sheepishly. Hearing the conversation between the father and son, many people in the desolate country raised their eyebrows. The Demon King and his son got along quite well. However, when Qin Yanlong saw this scene, his eyes twitched fiercely when he saw how calm the father and son were, as if they didn't care about him at all. "Well, everything started because of you too. Since everyone is here today, let's settle it once and for all." Qin Yunlong's voice was cold, and the murderous intent in his eyes was undisguised. This old thing is still so arrogant. Little Xingxing couldn't stand it anymore and waved her little fists. She had wanted to beat this old thing for a long time. "You don't seem to be enough. Ask the person behind you to come out." Du Tingxian raised his head and said to Qin Yunlong. Then, he looked at Du Xiaoyao, Little Xingxing, and the old monster Green Fox. He looked at Du Xiaofu and said, "There are huge differences between the Saint Realm. There's another old guy who came out of the Eternal Tomb. He's very strong, but he should still be recovering. If we work together, we might have a chance." Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows slightly. His drunkard father was naturally talking about Qin Tiangu, the ancient expert who came out of the Eternal Tomb in legalism. According to Master Huale, the Saint Realm was divided into the early, middle, late, peak, and last, the heavenly Saint Realm. Qin Tiangu's cultivation was originally at the late Saint Realm, but no one knew how much he had recovered during this time. Boom! At this moment, a vast wave of energy swept through the entire Sky City, shaking the heavens. In an instant, from the depths of the void, there was a monstrous light, accompanied by a strange phenomenon. It was as if stars were falling from the sky, and countless shadows of ancient ferocious beasts were reflected. The waves spread as if the 9 heavens were about to collapse. "It's too strong." Such a wave of energy made Du Xiaofu, Du Tingxian, little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, and the old monster green fox tremble in fear. The wave of energy was too strong, and the strange phenomenon in the sky. Bright light bloomed, containing a powerful force. It's unstoppable. Under such a wave of energy, some of the weaker creatures present immediately, and their divine souls, trembled, and they didn't dare to raise their heads. The demonic beasts whispered in groveling. Even cultivators like the Nether Demon and Dugu Finchen were barely able to resist the spreading pressure. The void, a dazzling light sky, the shadow of the ancient ferocious beasts and ferocious beasts, the ancient ferocious beasts, the ancient ferocious beasts, our ancestor, the ancestor, the ancestor. Du Tingxian stared at the figure in the void with a serious expression. Feeling the vast aura, Du Tingxian felt that it was much stronger than he had imagined. The ancient expert of legalism was too powerful. Even though Du Tingxian had stepped into the saint realm, he still felt a sense of vastness when facing him. The green fox demon's expression also changed, but he wasn't too worried. He knew that the demon king, Du Xiaofu, had also arranged a trump card. Little Star and Du Xiaoyao only glanced at Qin Tiangu, the ancient ancestor of legalism. They weren't worried at all. Hualazi was also there. A late-stage Saint Realm expert isn't invincible, Du Xiaofu said to Du Tingxian. Qin Tiangu's appearance was also within his expectations. Sizzle. As Du Xiaofu spoke, the void above suddenly changed. A red and blue flame arc descended, resonating with heaven and earth. The aura was desolate and destructive. The red and blue flame arc fluctuated, and a chubby figure appeared in the void. The red and blue lightning arc around him covered half of the sky. There were silent flashes of lightning and roars of thunder all around. However, the silence made it even more terrifying and shocking. The figure's eyes seemed to contain two seas of red and blue lightning. He stood in the void, looking down on everything. He was ancient and destructive, which made people tremble in fear. It's that senior. In the barren country, only Dongfang Qingmu, Nether Demon, and a few others knew Hualazi. Back in the Eternal Tomb, they were the only ones who had entered the barren country. Seeing Hualazi's figure, Dongfang Qingmu, Nether Demon, and the others were relieved. No wonder Little Star, Du Xiaoyao, and the others came with confidence. It turned out that Hualazi was accompanying them. Hualazi, why do you have to interfere in this matter? On the city in the sky, legalism's godlike figure was the first to speak. His aura fluctuated slowly. This part of the world was also moving because of him. This was an ancient powerhouse. In the ancient world where supreme geniuses roamed freely, he was also one of the strongest. He was a terrifying existence. He had guarded the evil spirits in the Eternal Tomb for countless years. Now that he had returned to the world, it was shocking. This ancient powerhouse was too powerful. No one in the world could compare to him. Qin Tiangu only spoke, but the invisible pressure in his voice made people's souls tremble. Qin Tiangu, you know the origin of the Du family's lightning vein. I can't just stand by and watch. Hualazi spoke. The red and blue flame arc fluctuated around him. The silent thunder and lightning shook the sky. Not many people knew about Hualazi's origin. However, when they felt the vast aura, they knew that he was a terrifying powerhouse on the same level as legalism's ancestor. Hualazi, before the great calamity, you can't even protect yourself. Why do you have to do this? Qin Tiangu spoke. His eyes were like stars, and his voice echoed through the world. The light around him became brighter and brighter. Mysterious symbols interweaved. The ancient vicious bird and beast shadows moved ferociously. They covered the sky and were extremely majestic. This kind of invisible power filled the world. It shook the world and made all living things tremble. It seems like you want to fight. Why waste your breath? As you wish, let me see how much you've recovered. As Hualazi's voice echoed, the red and blue flame arc around him began to burn. The invisible thunder and lightning became even more intense. Streaks of resplendent lightning arcs condensed into thunder and silently shuttled through the sky. It made people's hair stand on end, and their hairs stand on end. Hualazi, you were born in this world, but you didn't know that there was transcendence outside of this world. Why do you have to make such a mistake? With the great calamity before you, perhaps my legalism can help you find a way to transcend. Qin Tiangu's aura rose again and shook the 9 heavens. The earth trembled and the mountains shook. Cracks spread out and the mountains in the distance collapsed. This kind of aura was too terrifying. It surpassed the imagination of all living things. Chapter 2186. Translator. H2DH2 Mr. These ancient era experts were so terrifying. If there is transcendence beyond this world, then why did legalism have to descend in the first place? Don't forget, who dares to be impudent when that person was still alive? Hua Lazy spoke. His voice was like thunder, shaking the world. The ancient and destructive pressure seemed to make the entire Sky City collapse. Ka. Inside the Sky City, the ground cracked and cracks appeared on the walls. The scene was terrifying and made people feel uneasy. Too strong. I can't fight back. My head feels like it's going to explode. How can he be so strong? These two ancient experts were facing each other in the air. The invisible pressure enveloped the disciples of legalism and the desolate country's army, making them feel terrified. Many people had already collapsed to the ground. Some demonic beasts had also been forced out of their bodies and crawled towards the sky. Qin Tiangu stared at Hua Lazy. His star-like eyes flashed and the shadows of ferocious beasts flickered in the air. This is just a small matter. Why do you and I have to interfere? Otherwise, I'm afraid we will have to bear the karma and harm ourselves. Then, Qin Tiangu said such a sentence. There was a hint of warning in his words. At their level, once they really made a move, it would be difficult for the living beings present to escape. He was warning Hua Lazy that if he made a move against the desolate country's people, he could destroy them all. Since it's a small matter, let them solve it themselves. It's best if they don't harm themselves, but if they do, then it's the will of the heavens. Hua Lazy replied. His body burned with blue flames. Lightning flashed in the air, and his aura shook the 9 heavens. Hua Lazy's words and aura were a warning. If he made a move, he could also destroy legalism. Good. Let them settle it themselves. If there's a cause, there's an effect. Whoever started the trouble should end it. Qin Tiangu said such a sentence. The aura on his body slowly retracted and the vision faded. Then, his original body was revealed. His face was slightly curved. He was a middle-aged man. At this moment, Qin Tiangu was standing quietly in the air. There was no aura coming from his body. But even though he was standing there quietly, there was still a great aura coming from him. Only the stronger one was, the more they could feel it. Du Xiaofu was a little surprised. Was this the ancestor of legalism, Qin Tiangu? He actually looked quite young. However, Du Xiaofu knew that it was impossible to tell a cultivator's age from their appearance. Only the life force in their body could tell. Although Qin Tiangu looked young, it was not difficult to tell that he was an ancient expert. Qin Tiangu appeared, and his eyes fell on Du Tingxian and Du Xiaofu. His eyes were calm, without any ripples. However, it was precisely such a gaze that caused Du Xiaofu's Yuan spirit to tremble fiercely for no reason. It was as if he was about to be seen through with a single glance. Then let's end this karma today. As Hua Lazy's voice fell, the blue flames in the sky disappeared. Hua Lazy walked out, and an invisible wave fell on Du Xiaofu's body. The feeling in Du Xiaofu's Yuan spirit suddenly disappeared. In this karma, child, everything started because of you, so let's end it for you. Qin Tiangu looked at Du Xiaofu. His eyes were as calm as water, without any ripples. Then, he looked at Qin Yunlong and said, everything started because of you, so let's end it for you. Yes. Qin Yunlong nodded with a look of awe and respect. However, there was a sneer at the corner of his eyes. What? This is too much of a bully. He's clearly bullying the young. Let's fight if you dare. Who's afraid of who? Hearing Qin Tiangu's words, Jin Xingchun, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger Du, Che Gue, and the others immediately cursed inwardly. This was clearly bullying the young. Qin Yunlong was an expert of the legalism Saint Realm. He had been in the Saint Realm for many years and was getting stronger and stronger. Du Xiaofu, on the other hand, had yet to reveal his true strength. However, Jin Qingchun, Du Yunlong, and the others secretly felt that Du Xiaofu's aura was not the same as that of Little Star, Du Xiaoyao, the old monster Green Fox, and Du Tingxian. The aura of a Saint Realm cultivator was different from others. It carried the might of a saint. Therefore, they guessed that Du Xiaofu most likely had not set foot in the Saint Realm. There was an insurmountable gap between a cultivator below the Saint Realm and a real Saint Realm cultivator. Even though Jin Qingchun, Du Yunlong, and the others knew that Du Xiaofu was extraordinary, they did not dare to think that the gap could be crossed. The school of legalism had clearly come prepared. Dongfang Qingmu, Nether Demon, and the others secretly changed their expressions. Among the people present, only Little Star, Du Xiaoyao, the old monster Green Fox, Du Gufinchen, and Yelu Han did not care at all. Instead, they secretly smiled maliciously. Du Tingshuan's eyes darkened. He also felt that Du Xiaofu's aura had not set foot in the Saint Realm. In the Eternal Tomb, Du Xiaofu failed to break through to the Saint Realm. Du Tingxian knew the consequences. If he failed to break through to the Saint Realm, it would be even more difficult to break through again. Qin Tiangu did not care about the words around him at all. He then looked at Du Xiaofu again and said calmly, "Child, you have the bloodline of legalism. In the end, the cause and effect have been formed. Naturally, you should understand. The one who tied the bell should untie it. No matter who wins or loses, all grievances should be resolved in the battle between the two of you." Du Tingxian raised his head and looked at Qin Tiangu. "All of this happened because of me. Naturally, I should solve it. Although you are also the one who tied the bell, the grievances are not with you, but with that child. You can't replace him." Qin Tiangu looked at Du Tingxian and said. His expression was calm, as if everything should be as he said. Hearing this, Du Tingxian lowered his eyes and looked at Du Xiaofu beside him. Just as he was about to say something, Du Xiaofu stopped him. Du Xiaofu looked at Qin Tiangu and said, "What about my mother and sister?" Qin Tiangu said. He looked at Du Xiaofu meaningfully with his calm eyes and said, "We are a family, connected by blood. No matter who wins or loses, all grievances are gone. Child, if you win, the school of legalism will no longer stop your mother and father from marrying. If you lose, the door of legalism will always be open for you and your father." Du Xiaofu looked at Qin Tiangu. From what Huolei said, Qin Tiangu was definitely not a mysterious person. Qin Tiangu's words were so beautiful. It was as if an elder had come out to resolve a conflict between the younger generation. However, Du Xiaofu knew in his heart that there were not many good people in legalism. If Qin Tiangu was really so kind, why did he have to oppress people as soon as he appeared? If it was not for Huolei's intimidation, he would not have done so. If Qin Tiangu was really so kind, he would not have asked him to fight that old man Qin Yunlong even though he knew that he had not stepped into the Saint Realm. Finally, I finished posting before 12 o'clock. I made up for yesterday's missing chapter. Continue writing. Continue writing. I will add a chapter tomorrow to compensate for yesterday's delay. Don't hit me. Chapter 2187. Translator. H2H2 Mr. Hua Lazy's round face was a little surprised. Only now did he understand the grudge between Du Xiaofu and legalism. He didn't expect that this guy and legalism were actually family. No wonder he felt the aura of legalism in Du Xiaofu's Naiwan Palace. The outcome of your battle will be decided by yourself. No one can interfere, and no one can borrow external power. Qin Tiangu continued. He was obviously talking about Hua Lazy. Whoever interferes is an old turtle bastard, Hua Lazy said directly to Qin Tiangu. How could he not know that Qin Tiangu was talking to him? As for the battle between Du Xiaofu and Qin Yunlong, how could Hua Lazy be worried? It wasn't like he didn't know Du Xiaofu's true strength. When the time came, the old bastard would cry. Did he really think that kid was easy to bully? Du Xiaofu looked at Qin Tiangu. This old guy really didn't have good intentions. He was afraid that Hua Lazy would lose. Usually, you rely on power that doesn't belong to you to do whatever you want. You don't have any respect for your elders. Today, without power that belongs to you, you don't dare to fight? Qin Yunlong said coldly when he saw Du Xiaofu's hesitant expression. He thought that Du Xiaofu didn't dare to fight with him. Back in the Eternal Tomb, Relying on Hua Lazy's power, the five of them didn't have any advantage. Now, in his opinion, without Hua Lazy, that kid was nothing. As long as that kid dared to fight, he could directly solve this problem. This old guy is really shameless. Don't you know how old you are? How many years have you cultivated? How many years has the Rock Emperor cultivated? That old thing is really shameless. Using numbers to bully the weak and still saying nice words? Shameless. Hearing Qin Yunlong's provocative words, Du Shaoqing, Little Tiger, Du Hao, Phantom Tiger King, and the others were furious. They had never seen such a shameless old thing. If that's the case, then let's settle this with a battle. I'll accompany you. Looking at Qin Tiangu, Du Xiaofu's clear eyes rippled. Then, he fixed his gaze on Qin Yunlong's old face and smiled coldly. His voice reverberated in all directions as he said indifferently, "With your years of cultivation, I won't find you shameless if you fight with me. I'm just worried that I might accidentally crush your old bones." Ha ha! Hearing this, the desolate country's army burst into laughter. "You will pay the price for disrespecting your elders." Qin Yunlong's face was ice-cold when he heard that. Even now, that brat was still looking down on him. As soon as he finished speaking, Qin Yanlong strode forward and stepped into the air. A vast aura shot up into the sky and spread across the void. Boom! The void trembled. With Qin Yunlong as the center, a dazzling light shone. Celestial qi spread out from his body and formed a huge energy storm. This energy storm was completely condensed from celestial qi. It even carried the faint sound of lightning and thunder, which made people tremble. Countless eyes trembled. Just the celestial qi in the body of a Saint Realm cultivator could create such a terrifying aura. How vast and majestic was that? Little bastard. Without external help, you are nothing. How can a firefly compete with the moon? Qin Yunlong shouted loudly, shaking the surroundings. The surging celestial qi accompanied by the Saint Realm aura constantly distorted the void and enveloped the entire sky. Just this endless power of distorting the void was enough to tear a venerable realm cultivator to shreds. Du Xiaofu stood in the void, his clothes fluttering and his black hair flying behind him. However, no matter how the void distorted and collapsed, the space around Du Xiaofu remained motionless, and his body was as steady as a rock. However, Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes slightly as he looked at Qin Yunlong in front of him. The celestial qi in his body had such a vast fluctuation. Judging from his aura, Qin Yunlong had recovered more quickly than the old monster green fox. Legalism was indeed worthy of its reputation. It had an absolute foundation, which other forces and rogue cultivators could not compare with. However, Du Xiaofu was not afraid at all. Although he had not broken through to the Saint Realm, Du Xiaofu knew his advantages from the battle with the old monster green fox. He also had trump cards such as the immortal Xian body, the rock's golden wings, and the cyan spirit armor. Without external help, I can still beat you like a dog. Have you forgotten that you ran away like a stray dog in the heavenly devil battlefield? As Du Xiaofu spoke, he slowly walked into the air and faced Qin Yunlong from a distance. This was the real battlefield. Once the battle started below, Qin Yunlong was afraid that the disciples of legalism in the Sky City would be affected. Du Xiaofu was also afraid that the desolate country's army would be affected. Qin Yunlong's eyes twitched fiercely when he heard Du Xiaofu's words. This was Qin Yunlong's scar. Now that Du Xiaofu had exposed it, the coldness in his eyes gushed out uncontrollably. Back in the heavenly devil battlefield, his cultivation had been suppressed, and he could only use his physical strength. He had been trampled on. This was his pain. Now that his scar was exposed in public, it was tantamount to slapping him in the face. You're about to die, but you're still trying to talk nonsense. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have some talent. There are some heights that you can never reach. You'll know the difference soon. Qin Yunlong said coldly. He could sense that Du Xiaofu had not broken through to the Saint Realm. Back then, he had failed to break through in the Eternal Tomb. It would be even more difficult for him to break through in the future. Looking at the young man in front of him, Qin Yunlong had no intention of letting him go. Legalism's meridians had been dug out. A large number of legalism's supreme talents had been killed by his father and son. External forces had been uprooted. Li Chenfa and Qin Tianshi, the two most likely experts to break through to the Saint Realm, had only left behind a primordial spirit while the other had been killed. He could not let go of such a big problem. This kid had actually agreed to fight. This was an opportunity. Looking at Qin Yunlong, the killing intent hidden in his eyes could not escape Du Xiaofu's prying eyes. Du Xiaofu also felt a chill in his heart toward legalism. The grudge between him and legalism had long been too deep to be resolved. He had been humiliated and oppressed time and time again by legalism. When he was tricked into legalism, he was treated like an ant. He had been humiliated, deceived, oppressed, and finally had his heart dug out. He had almost died at the hands of legalism several times. All the misery and humiliation he had suffered in the outside world could not be compared to what he had suffered in legalism. I'm afraid you don't have the strength to do so. Du Xiaofu looked at Qin Yunlong, no longer concealing the coldness in his eyes. Anyway, he did not need to be polite to this old man. In this battle, Du Xiaofu was not so naive as to think that legalism only wanted to determine the winner. Boom! Du Xiaofu's body began to surge with golden light. His aura surged, and golden runes flickered in the depths of his clear eyes. Chapter 2188. Translator. H2DH2 Mr. In an instant, the entire void became tense. Two figures, one old and one young, floated in the air, filling the air with a murderous aura. Do you think the Rock Emperor can win? Looking at the familiar domineering figure in the sky, some people in the desolate country's army were nervous. The Rock Emperor was invincible and could easily defeat his peers. Even the older generation could hardly match him. However, Qin Yanlong was a Saint Realm expert, so they couldn't help but feel nervous. The Rock Emperor will definitely win. I've never seen the Rock Emperor lose before. Someone said this, but in the depths of his eyes, there was also a solemn and nervous look. That kid is courting death. I wonder how that kid will die later. At this moment, in Sky City, the legalism disciples looked up at the sky and sneered. How could that kid Du Xiaofu be a match for the divine ancestor? He was simply courting death. Only the old monster green fox, Yelu Han, Dugu Finshin, little Xingxing, and Du Xiaoyao looked calm and even secretly smiled. The corners of the mouth of the old green fox demon, who had a wretched face, curled up slightly, revealing a malicious smile. He prayed for Qin Yanlong in his heart. On the other hand, Master Flamespark and Qin Tiangu floated in the air and looked at the sky. Their eyes were calm, without any fluctuations. While everyone was talking, Qin Yanlong snorted and didn't say anything else. As the void trembled, he directly attacked Du Xiaofu. Boom! Golden light erupted as an incomparably tyrannical aura suddenly swept out. The golden wings of the Great Rock and the azure spirit armor were directly deployed at the same time, carrying the tyrannical will of the golden-winged Great Rock race. Du Xiaofu also directly collided with the attack. The two figures were too fast. Light burst out, and in the sky, it was like two comets colliding. Suddenly, a bright light exploded in the depths of the void, and a muffled sound like thunder exploded. Boom! A muffled boom rang out like thunder, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. Sky City, both inside and outside, began to shake violently. High up in the sky, the fluctuation of energy was extremely violent. It was vast like an ocean that whistled through the sky, and it shook the heart and soul while divine radiance surged throughout space. Such a collision was too terrifying. The distant void was also collapsing. Due to the chaos in the sky, cultivators below the Saint Realm could not see clearly at all. Mo Tianxiao, Lin Qingrong, Dongfang Qingmu, and the others all trembled inwardly. They hadn't stepped into the Saint Realm, so they didn't dare to touch such a collision. After several breaths of time, the void calmed down a little. The light faded and was annihilated in the void fluctuations. Then, two resplendent figures appeared and faced each other from a distance. A figure was entrenched like the brightest star. It was dazzling and emitted a type of great power. It made one's mind tremble just by looking at it. A tall and straight figure covered in golden feathered armor appeared. The golden wings of the great Peng spread out behind his back. His entire being was like a great Peng in human form. He wanted to soar into the sky and soar into the sky. The golden wings of the great Peng and the golden feathered armor were natural and perfect. The magnificent armor and the domineering golden wings of the great Peng made him look even more majestic and domineering, just like a god of war. When the two figures appeared, they looked at Du Xiaofu. Qin Tiangu's calm eyes also surged with a hint of fluctuation. However, he quickly restrained himself and didn't reveal any trace of fluctuation. Du Tingxian looked at the void. His figure was tall and straight. His armor and the long spear in his hand were rippling with electric arcs. However, the two figures in the depths of the void were a little silent at this moment. Du Xiaofu's eyes darkened. He had used all his strength in one move. Qin Yanlong was indeed much stronger than the old green fox monster. At this moment, Qin Yanlong's heart seemed to be in turmoil. He had been recovering and making rapid progress recently. Compared to when he was in the Tomb of Eternity, he couldn't be mentioned in the same breath. That kid hadn't broken through to the Saint Realm yet, but he had used all his strength just now. He wanted to kill his opponent with a thunderous force. However, Qin Yanlong couldn't accept the result at this moment. That kid had withstood it completely. He was only at a slight disadvantage. Instead, the impact had made the blood in his body surge. He had been in the Saint Realm for so long. Not only was he unable to kill a cultivator below the Saint Realm with all his strength, he didn't even have the upper hand. How could Qin Yanlong accept this? In his mind, he should have killed that kid with a single blow. After the collision of the two figures, the entire Sky City fell silent. Everyone held their breaths. The vast fluctuation made those who were not strong enough feel weak. However, many people could feel that after the collision, although the two figures seemed to be silent, their auras were rising at the same time. They became more and more vast, powerful, and domineering. Rumble. When the auras were rising, purple electric arcs poured down from the void around Du Xiaofu like a waterfall. They emitted a brilliant purple light. Lightning runes fluctuated and illuminated the surroundings. Du Xiaofu directly activated the Thunder Martial Vein. The green spirit armor on his body was covered with purple electric arcs and turned into a purple-gold color. With his body as the center, the wind and clouds surged. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Countless purple electric arcs filled the sky. The Thunder Martial Vein's murderous aura spread. It didn't have a murderous aura, but it showed the majesty of creation and the righteousness of heaven and earth. Rumble. This terrifying aura of thunder and lightning could be vast and mighty. It could punish all living beings and make them tremble in fear. Such a terrifying aura made Du Xiaofu look like a thunder rock descending to the world, looking down on the world. Under the Thunder Martial Vein, all living beings were trembling in fear. Thunder Martial Vein. When the Thunder Martial Vein appeared on Du Xiaofu's body, Qin Tiangu's calm eyes couldn't help but fluctuate. There was a meaningful look in his eyes. Rumble. The sound of the heavens didn't stop, and a divine ring appeared in the sky. An impressive pressure filled the world, causing one's heart to beat faster. The sound of the heavens was like a heavy hammer in one's heart. At the same time, Du Xiaofu also activated the boundless Nirvana force. Against an existence like Qin Yanlong, Du Xiaofu wasn't willing to be the slightest bit careless. Boom! Qin Yanlong's eyes were like the sun and moon. With his body as the center, the aura on his body rose to the peak in an instant. He didn't hold back at all. Sensing the unrestrained aura on Qin Yanlong's body, Hualei secretly frowned. That aura was almost at the early stage of the Saint Martial realm. Brat, you still can't change the result. Qin Yanlong attacked again. His palm was crystal clear and carried a purple aura. The aura was vast and terrifying. Along with this palm strike, Qin Yanlong's divine might was also impressive. Under the pressure of that aura, all living beings trembled in fear and respect. Chapter 2189. This is my legalism's saint-grade martial technique, heaven and earth palm. It's enough to suppress everything. Some legalism experts trembled in excitement. Qin Yanlong was using the legalism's saint-grade martial technique. Among them, it was difficult to find someone who had the qualifications and talent to successfully cultivate it. Roar. While the roars of dragons, tigers, birds, and tortoises were heard, Du Xiaofu's palm became gorgeous. His aura was overbearing to the extreme. He struck out with his palm, and the palm print that was expanding with the wind suddenly exploded with an unparalleled, overbearing force. The two figures were like lightning, and the two palm prints collided in an instant. Roar! The void was dazzling, and violent energy was released. The azure dragon, white tiger, phoenix, black tortoise, and black tortoise appeared faintly, suppressing all living things. The tiger roared, the birds roared, and the tortoise cried. The pressure caused the heaven and earth to boil, and all the beasts were frightened and trembled. There was also a collapse of the grand momentum, and the heaven and earth appeared in the void, illuminating the firmament. The two palm prints collided, and a terrifying energy burst out, devouring each other, and a dazzling light bloomed. The surrounding void collapsed, and a deep dark light swallowed the four beasts. Such a scene would make anyone who saw it feel their hair stand on end. Die, brat! Qin Yanlong shouted angrily, and his figure appeared in front of Du Xiaofu in an instant. He condensed a flood dragon and rushed out. The dragon's aura was fierce, and it swept across the firmament. You're not enough, Du Xiaofu shouted. He flapped his golden rock wings, and lightning runes intertwined as he raised his hand. Lightning flashed and thunder roared in midair, and countless thunderbolts gathered in the sky. He clenched his fist, and the fist was covered with the thunder martial vein. Dazzling thunderbolts gathered and wrapped around his arm, looking disdainful and destructive. Roar! Du Xiaofu punched out, and the overbearing fistway contained the thunder martial vein. With the roar of dragons and elephants, it was as if it could explode the heaven and earth. It directly hit the flood dragon's shadow. Boom! Suddenly, the fierce flood dragon's shadow collapsed inch by inch and was annihilated in the void. Qin Yunlong's finger imprint instantly swept over. He was much stronger than he was a few months ago. His speed, strength, and attack had all increased. However, Du Xiaofu was also getting stronger. Although he still hadn't stepped into the Saint Realm, his invisible combat strength was absolutely incomparable. It was also increasing exponentially. Immediately, the energy in the sky fluctuated violently. A divine ancestor of legalism, one of the most powerful experts in the world, a demon king, an invincible existence among his peers. When these two people fought fiercely, they were as fast as lightning. They were like pong-pong striking through the sky and gods descending into the world. They were swift, violent, and vast, and shook all directions. Boom! The two of them were exchanging blows at high speeds. Every single time they clashed, the void would shatter before it would recover. In an instant, the two of them had already exchanged over 10 moves, and all of them were inconceivably swift, fierce, swift, and clean. Those who were not strong enough could only see the illusory figure flying in the distance. However, their hearts were still shaken, and they were fascinated. The Saint Realm was high and mighty. It was far beyond the immortal realm and the domain realm. Their invisible power was enough to control everything. However, Du Xiaofu was an exception. He had transcended this shackle. The Dapeng golden wings coupled with the wave-treading carefree steps allowed Du Xiaofu's speed to not be suppressed by Qin Yunlong. With the Cyan spirit armor coupled with the immortal Xin body, Du Xiaofu's physical body was enough to contend with a Saint Beast realm demonic beast. He even had the advantage. Fight! Roar! Du Xiaofu shouted loudly and domineeringly. The star-shattering fist and the Pegasus meteor punch were constantly blasted out. The aura was fierce and fierce. Qin Yunlong's momentum was unparalleled. His light filled the sky, and his saintly aura was awe-inspiring. There was a mysterious force surrounding Qin Yunlong's body. It was like an ancient talisman that resonated with heaven and earth. This was the embodiment of a Saint Realm cultivator. It was the terrifying part of a Saint Realm expert. This kind of collision and killing continued, causing endless energy ripples to erupt. There were endless beast shadows in the void. Talismans intertwined and shook the world. Rock Emperor, You must win. The army of the desolate country prayed and looked forward to it. They clenched their weapons and fists tightly. The experts of legalism and the old man looked into the depths of the void. They were also very shocked. Although they hated Du Xiaofu to the core and wanted to grind his bones and scatter his ashes, at this moment, they had to admit that this kid was definitely a terrifying supreme being. At this moment, the Lord of Legalism, who was held in the hand of Zhang Qingchun, had a gloomy look. He looked at the shocking battle in the void and had to admit that Du Xiaofu was a genius. He had not even set foot in the Saint Realm, but he was able to fight Qin Yunlong to such an extent. Once he set foot in the Saint Realm, how terrifying would he be? A thought flashed through the mind of the Lord of Legalism. If the legalism had made a different choice back then, leaving the father and son who were supposed to be his son-in-law and grandson in the legalism, how powerful would the legalism be today? However, this thought only flashed through the Lord of Legalism's mind. He knew very well that the father and son were now a great threat to the legalism. They could only be eliminated. I have to admit that you have exceeded my expectations. You have not set foot in the Saint Realm, but you are comparable to a Saint Realm expert. Unfortunately, you have not set foot in the Saint Realm. In the void, the attacks in the offensive temporarily stopped. Qin Yunlong's body was surrounded by a monstrous light. Endless spatial waves swept out and dyed the sky resplendent. Boom, boom. In an instant, the entire void was distorted, and the strange phenomenon changed. In an instant, this corner of the sky, with Sky City as the center, trembled. The earth shook and the mountains swayed. Divine birds flapped their wings and ferocious beasts roared in the void. The sun, moon, and stars rotated, and mountains and lakes appeared. This was a world that was evolving. The scene was terrifying. At this moment, Qin Yunlong was in the sky. His eyes were dazzling but cold and ruthless. Endless ancient runes spread out from under his feet. It's too powerful. This is the force of law of legalism. The expressions of the nether demon, Dongfang Qingmu, and the others changed. They did not expect Qin Yunlong to use the force of law. With such power, even cultivators below the Saint Realm would be crushed by the impact. At this moment, the old monster Green Fox looked up at Qin Yunlong and frowned. The old monster Green Fox could see that if he were to fight Qin Yunlong alone, he would not be able to defeat him. Rumble. The force of law was unparalleled. Qin Yunlong stood in the void and evolved a world as if he were the master of this world. The terrifying force of law greatly suppressed Du Xiaofu. The fluctuations were like a sledgehammer that constantly pounded on his vital spirit and heart. The green spirit armor and the golden rock wings on his back began to dim. However, the purple gold light in Du Xiaofu's eyes and the thunder martial vein in his body did not change. The light in his eyes became sharper. Let's end this, Qin Yunlong said coldly. The world around him suddenly trembled. Howl. Rumble. In an instant, divine birds spread their wings. Ferocious beasts roared. Stars fell. Mountains and rivers collapsed. All of them enveloped Du Xiaofu, trying to crush Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu looked up. His expression did not change. He formed a hand seal and flapped his golden rock wings. Golden light filled the sky and directly soared into the sky. The light on his body seemed to be injected with a new kind of energy in an instant and directly exploded. Chapter 2190. In an instant, purple electric arcs and golden rays rose like the sun, intertwining with each other. In the next moment, a huge purple-gold thunder rock shadow that covered half of the sky rushed out and enveloped Du Xiaofu. The two seemed to have merged into one and were about to soar. Screech. The purple-gold thunder rock screeched and shot out purple-gold electric arcs from its eyes. It was like two suns illuminating the sky and overlooking the world. Its ferocious aura spread and caused the entire space to tremble. This was the combination of Du Xiaofu's golden-winged rock race's beast energy and the thunder martial vein. It was a tyrannical execution. Rumble. Qin Yanlong collapsed and brought along the world. The sky shook and the earth shook. Pitch black, spatial cracks spread in the sky and shrouded Du Xiaofu. Screech. Screech. The purple-gold thunder rock spread its wings and swept across with its mighty and domineering aura. Its entire body was covered with dense purple-gold electric arcs that converged into huge purple-gold thunderbolts. At this moment, 36 beams of purple-gold light shot out from the wings of the thunder rock that almost covered half of the sky. Those were the 36 feathers of the true rock. The energy swept out like a raging tide and shattered the space. There was also the supreme nirvana power shrouding the area. The heavenly music was endless and the light was dazzling. The great rock struck the 9 heavens and broke the sky. Wherever the purple-gold thunder rock passed, everything was destroyed. Bang, 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 bang in the sky. The rock spread its wings and the purple thunderbolts collapsed. Many mountains and rivers were crushed, ferocious beasts were shattered, and stars were destroyed. This was not the first time Du Xiaofu had faced Qin Yanlong's Dharma power. He knew how powerful it was and did not dare to be careless. Humph! Qin Yanlong snorted. His body was covered with dazzling talisman runes. That was his martial vein, which also contained a powerful force. Boom! In an instant, the Dharma power in this part of the sky became even stronger. It squeezed the sky and the earth roared. Moo! At the same time, a gigantic phantom of a demonic beast appeared before Qin Yanlong. It was shaped like a bull, and its head was white. It only had one vertical eye at the center of its brows, and it had a snake tail. Such a strange beast was like a living creature, roaring like thunder. The power of this strange beast was even more terrifying. It was as if it was rushing down from the 9 heavens towards the purple-gold thunder rock. Qin Yanlong activated his meridian soul. At his level, his meridian soul had already transformed into a true spirit, which was equivalent to a living being. Back in the Tomb of Eternity, Qin Yanlong had resisted the urge to activate his meridian spirit, even though he had wanted to kill Du Xiaofu to the extreme. As for Su Sanyan and the others, they seemed to be fighting with their lives on the line. However, all of them still had a little bit of strength left to protect themselves. After all, at their level, no one wanted to lose themselves due to an accident. It's actually Hui. Mo Tianxiao, who had already retreated to the warship, stared at the enormous beast in the sky, his green eyes trembling fiercely. Qin Yanlong's meridian soul was actually such a demonic beast. The Hui is like a bull with a white head, one eye, and a snake tail. Its body seems harmless, but when it dries up, its stem is fierce, and when it sees it, it will cause a great plague. Zhen Qingquan's expression changed as he revealed the Hui's origin. The Hui was a ferocious beast that only existed in ancient times. It had long disappeared. It was said that when the Hui entered water, the water source would dry up immediately. When it entered grass, the grass would wither immediately. It was known as a disaster beast, which was equivalent to the god of disaster. Wherever it appeared, it would destroy everything. It was extremely terrifying. As Qin Yanlong activated his martial meridian and meridian soul, Du Xiaofu, who was already somewhat suppressed, suddenly felt as if he had fallen into a swamp. Qi, a dazzling silver-gold electric arc swept out from the purple-gold thunder rock and rushed into the sky. Boom, boom. At this moment, lightning flashed and thunder roared, turning into thunder and lightning that blotted out the sky. The pressure was monstrous, drowning the void. The electric arc was bright and boundless, and the lightning runes were densely packed, reflecting the void. Amidst the lightning that filled the sky, a huge figure of a red-bone horse monkey rushed out. In an instant, it released a violent and destructive pressure and charged towards the Hui. Roar! Roar! The red-bone horse-ape roared, and its eyes seemed to contain 2 golden suns. Silver-gold light filled the air and poured out in all directions. This was Du Xiaofu's red-bone horse-ape, primordial spirit, and meridian soul, which contained 5 types of spiritual thunder. Rumble! Silver-gold lightning swept out and covered the sky. The red-bone horse-ape's primordial spirit and meridian soul fought against the Hui. The lightning exploded, overturning the void. Under the power of Qin Yanlong's spell, it also made the mountains and rivers lose their color and the universe shake. Moo! However, the Hui was too powerful. At this moment, it complemented the power of the spell, and the light overflowed into the sky. Roar! Roar! The redbone horseap's body shone with golden light, and its spirit eyes looked down on the world. It was as if the world was created, and it wanted to push in all directions, overturning the universe and breaking it. Rumble! The two beast phantoms clashed more than 10 times in just a breath's time. It was incomparably fierce, and the thunder shocked the world. Silver gold electric arc and light bloomed, like two huge comets colliding with each other, and waves rose and fell. You've used up all your means. You're an arrow at the end of its flight. You've reached the end. Qin Yanlong sneered. He could feel that Du Xiaofu was really going all out, and he had used up all his means. The divine thunder cauldron was not with this kid, and he still had some strength left. A Saint Realm cultivator was definitely not someone who could be compared to anyone below the Saint Realm. As soon as Qin Yunlong finished speaking, a mysterious aura began to surge out of his body, which was now filled with divine might. This mysterious aura resonated with the world, and mysterious runes appeared in the void, revealing wisps of Saint Realm aura, and finally integrated into the power of the spell. Boom! Boom! In an instant, the Saint Realm aura was awe-inspiring. The space of the spell began to shrink and rotate, and the aura was boundless and collapsing. The purple-gold thunder rock phantom began to be blocked, and its light began to dim, and the thunder and lightning runes were obliterated. Not long after, the huge purple-gold thunder rock phantom began to fade, and it was crushed and obliterated by the invisible power. Du Xiaofu appeared, supported by the dim light of the Cyan Spirit Armor, the Thunder Martial Vein, and the Rock Golden Wings. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's eyes began to turn solemn, and his face changed color. The void seemed to have turned into a prison, and Du Xiaofu was imprisoned in it. Du Xiaofu was no stranger to this kind of power and pressure. He had encountered it not long ago when he was fighting with the old monster Green Fox. This was unique to a Saint Realm cultivator, and it was the symbol of a Saint Realm expert. This was the power of the Saint Realm, and it could crush all living things and suppress all directions. There was a violent destructive force in this kind of pressure, and it was going to destroy everything. Rumble. At this moment, Qin Yanlong's aura was incomparably vast, and it was as if he was the master of this space. Divine birds soared into the sky, ferocious beasts roared, mountains and rivers surged, lightning flashed, thunder rumbled, and stars fell. They were all crushing Du Xiaofu one after another. Under this kind of pressure, creatures with low cultivation in the distance suddenly spat out blood. This kind of pressure was not targeted at them. Just the residual aura alone was enough to make them unable to resist. Then, Qin Tiangu and Hualei secretly made their moves. Light surged from each of them, and they protected the disciples of legalism and the desolate country army. However, at this moment, Hualei frowned slightly. He did not expect the legalism's early-stage Saint Realm cultivator to have improved so much. He was much stronger than he had imagined. This is bad. The Rock Emperor seems to have been suppressed. The Rock Emperor is injured. On the warship, the desolate country army's eyes were solemn, and their hands that were holding their weapons and fists began to tighten. At this moment, everyone could see that the Rock Emperor seemed to have been defeated. That Saint Realm cultivator was too strong. He was not someone who could be defeated by anyone below the Saint Realm. Crack, crack. The blue spirit armor dimmed and cracked. Du Xiaofu's Thunder Martial Vein was also suppressed. Even the golden rock wings on his back were no longer shining brightly. Qin Yunlong kept sneering, and he did not try to hide the murderous intent in his eyes. This was the power of a saint. As a Saint Realm cultivator, how could that brat be a match for him? This kind of Saint Realm power was vast and carried the weight of heaven and earth. Rumble. Qin Yunlong's body glowed, and his whole body made a sonorous sound. He crushed Du Xiaofu with this side of the world. Crack, crack, crack. The blue spirit armor on Du Xiaofu's body began to crack, and golden blood flowed out from his body. A smear of blood immediately flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Du Xiaofu felt that this kind of power was obviously the same as that of the old monster Green Fox. However, Qin Yunlong was much stronger than the old monster Green Fox. Du Xiaofu's body was enveloped. The endless power of heaven and earth pressed down on him. Together with the power of the legalism spell, it wanted to destroy everything in his body. This surging power came from heaven and earth. The strong Saint Realm power suppressed all living beings in all directions. We're in big trouble. If you haven't set foot in the Saint Realm, you can't compete with a real Saint Realm cultivator. Crack. At this moment, the faces of Ilao, Zhen Qingchun, and the others were extremely solemn. The lightning in Du Tingshuan's eyes became more and more intense, and the hand holding the divine thunder spear in his hand secretly increased its strength. Crack, crack. The blue spirit armor on Du Xiaofu's body cracked more and more, and the look in his eyes became more solemn. However, there was no fear or retreat in Du Xiaofu's eyes. He secretly condensed a handprint, and quietly, ancient runes rippled out from his body. At this moment, with himself as the center, a void 8 trigrams diagram appeared beside Du Xiaofu. The mysterious 8 trigrams diagram connected with each other and turned into a bright divine ring, spreading out in all directions. Rumble. A vast and boundless power instantly descended and pushed away the pressure in the space of the spiritual spell force. Howl. In just a moment, the mysterious void 8 trigrams diagram spread out in all directions. On it, there were the cries of thousands of beasts, the evolution of mountains and lakes, the alternation of wind, rain, thunder, and lightning, the changes of the sun, the moon, and the stars, the movement of mountains and rivers, and the flapping of the wings of the golden-winged rock. When the void 8 trigrams diagram appeared, Qin Tiangu's eyes changed again, as if he felt something. This method was too vast, and the vast power was also something Qin Tiangu had never seen before. In the strange diagram, there was even a breath that made him tremble inexplicably. That breath was just a flash, but it was enough to make him shocked and alert. Chapter 2191. Qin Yanlong's eyes were also trembling. Within the strange pattern, there was an aura that made him tremble. It was vast and boundless, descending upon his heart for no reason. On the 8 trigrams in the air, Du Xiaofu's hand seals continued to form, as if a divine spirit was in the air. The 8 trigrams in the air changed, deduced, and derived. The air around them rippled invisibly. With Du Xiaofu as the center, the 8 trigrams in the air continued to spread. Upper Kuan and Lower Li, Earthly Fire Bright E break. Upper Qin and Lower Dui, Heavenly Luo trigrams break. Upper Qin and Lower Li, Earthly Fire Dual Man break. As Du Xiaofu spoke, a series of complex and profound hand seals were formed. The 8 trigrams diagram underwent a myriad of transformations. Lightning and stars appeared. Raging flames burned, and mountains and rivers moved. The air was collapsing, and the aura of destruction enveloped this part of the world. At this moment, Qin Yanlong's spell had a huge impact on the space. The ground inside and outside Sky City shook, and heaven and earth resonated. Above the air, energy surged, and the bright runes were like an ocean, creating raging waves. What technique is this? It can't be under legalism's spell. If they were at the same level of cultivation, Qin Yanlong would not be able to resist. Someone spoke, shocked. Everyone could feel that the technique Du Xiaofu was using was not inferior to Qin Yanlong's in terms of might and vastness. If they were at the same level, Qin Yanlong would lose without a doubt. But at this moment, Qin Yanlong was not defeated. He was not far from the middle stage of the holy martial arts realm. In addition, under the influence of the holy might, the power of the spell was so vast and majestic that it suppressed Du Xiaofu. Upper Qin and Lower Shaken, Heavenly Thunder break. Du Xiaofu's hand seals continued, and the 8 trigrams stirred again. Lightning flashed, thunder rumbled, and runes crisscrossed across the world. However, Du Xiaofu's face was as pale as ash. He had expended too much energy and was also injured. Not enough. The holy martial realm is a natural barrier that you cannot cross. Qin Yanlong sneered. How could the natural moat of the Saint Plane be truly crossed? The vast power and saintly might continued to crush down. The 8 trigrams void diagram was being crushed and shrunk. The divine light was being obliterated, and the dazzling divine ring in the sky began to dim. The surrounding void was collapsing inch by inch and being annihilated. Pucci, Du Xiaofu spat out a mouthful of blood, and the azure spirit armor on his body cracked again. Lightning runes interwove around the red-boned horse monkey's body. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, accompanied by a vast and mighty yuan spirit pressure. However, Du Xiaofu's crimson nightmare monkey primordial spirit and bloodline soul were still being suppressed by Qin Yunlong's dermic aura and bloodline soul. All kinds of strange phenomena appeared in the sky. Deafening roars caused the world to rumble. Accompanied by the momentum of heaven and earth, a screen of light covered the entire sky, suppressing the scarlet nightmare monkey bloodline soul. That kid is going to lose. How could he possibly be a match for the sacred ancestor? Legalism's people began to get excited. At this moment, the divine ancestor finally had the absolute advantage and was about to suppress the demon king. A brilliant ray of light appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. The buzzing sound of wind and thunder resounded. A faint silver-gold longsword appeared in the sky. The sword's aura was sharp, and the sword's cry was like wind and thunder. In an instant, a majestic aura burst out from the longsword. Incomparably terrifying ripples spread out, causing one's soul to tremble for no reason. When they saw the long sword, many people looked at it in surprise. Although the longsword's color had changed slightly, Mo Tianxiao, Dongfang Qingmu, Du Xiaoao, and Du Tingxian recognized it immediately. It was the treasure that everyone had seen in the square of the Tomb of Eternity. This was the Daluo sword formation. When Du Xiaofu activated it, wind and thunder resounded. Du Xiaofu's hand seals formed in an instant. Suddenly, the longsword transformed into a series of sword shadows that spread out. Qin Yanlong's expression changed. He had chased after this treasure sword before, but he had returned empty-handed. He had never thought that such a treasure would end up in this brat's hands again. Swish, 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 swish. Countless sword shadows appeared in the Daluo sword formation. They were densely packed together, erupting with arcs of lightning that blotted out the sun. Spatial ripples shattered one after another. At this moment, as the majestic aura spread out, the sword shadows cut through space. Pitch-black rays of light could be vaguely seen at the tips of the swords. The terrifying might of the swords caused one's soul to tremble and their hair to stand on end. There was also a profound mystery to it that caused one's soul to collapse. Qin Yanlong's expression changed. Such a treasure greatly affected his soul at this moment. Qin Yanlong's heart was filled with anger and gloominess. How could such a treasure not fall into his hands? As the Daluo sword formation swept out, it erupted with a heaven-shaking pressure. Du Xiaofu's mouth was mottled with blood, but his eyes were calm. This was a vicious battle. At this point, it was no longer a competition of pure battle prowess. It was a competition of who could suppress who. As his hand seals formed, light surged out from his body once more. With Du Xiaofu as the center, the 8 trigrams in the air expanded in a dazzling manner once more. The trigrams intersected with one another, and phenomena appeared. Mountains and lakes intersected, lightning and wind intersected, and water and fire did not mix. Du Xiaofu set foot in it, and the Daluo sword formation expanded in a profound manner before him. An extremely vast aura permeated the surroundings, making him seem like a god. Screech. As Du Xiaofu's hand seals continued to condense, a shrill sound came from the 8 trigrams void pattern that pierced through clouds and cracked stones. The golden talisman patterns condensed into a phantom of a golden-winged rock that exuded boundless golden light. Ku! Surging violet flames filled the air. A violet phoenix could vaguely be seen unfurling its wings, burning through space. Rumble. Lightning also descended, and nether insight grass and undying grass appeared. They shone with dazzling light, and their auras were boundless. These phenomena revolved around Du Xiaofu, constantly changing and alternating. It was like night and day, and it was extremely profound. As these phenomena appeared around Du Xiaofu, his aura began to climb once more. It even seemed like he was approaching a vast realm of perfection. Boom! At that moment, The 8 trigrams in the air that had been suppressed earlier expanded once more, and a vast aura descended. At the same time, a resplendent green light appeared within Du Xiaofu's body, spreading from the inside out. This mystery came from Feng Jijia, and it allowed Du Xiaofu's shattered azure spirit armor to recover. It even allowed Du Xiaofu's exhausted profound qi to recover, allowing Du Xiaofu to feel much better. What's going on? Many of the experts present could clearly sense the change in Yi Fuyan's expression. Du Xiaofu's aura was actually growing stronger under the suppression, and it continued to grow stronger and stronger. Rock Emperor, hold on. The desolate country army clenched their fists and weapons tightly, and their expressions were extremely grave. Everyone could tell that Du Xiaofu had already been suppressed and injured, but now that he was growing stronger, everyone saw hope. Chapter 2192. It feels like he's about to break through. The old monster Green Fox raised his eyes. He was a saint, so he could clearly sense the aura. It felt like the Demon King was about to break through. Something's not right. Is this little bastard about to break through? Qin Yunlong also sensed it. He was in the Saint Martial realm, so he was familiar with the aura. That brat seemed to be about to break through in this battle. Rumble. The sky trembled as the 8 trigrams in the void spread out. Along with the Daluo sword formation, it began to fight against Qin Yunlong. He's getting stronger and stronger. How can this be? Can this little bastard really break through? Qin Yunlong's expression changed drastically. He could sense that Du Xiaofu's aura was getting stronger and stronger. His aura was surging, and the pressure was getting stronger. Although he could still suppress the former, if this continued, there was a high possibility that something unexpected would happen. Although the former had failed to break through to the Saint Martial realm, it was undoubtedly more difficult for him to continue to break through. However, Qin Yunlong did not want any accidents to happen. If this little bastard really broke through, then there would be endless trouble in the future. At this moment, Qin Yunlong's heart was also in turmoil. He had already done his best, even activating his pulse spirit and martial vein. In addition to his recent improvement, his cultivation was almost at the peak of the initial stage of the Saint Martial realm. At this moment, the brat was showing signs of recovery. If they were at the same level, he would not be a match for him. The difference between the Saint Martial realm and the Saint Martial realm was like heaven and earth. However, Qin Yunlong did not think so now. If this had happened a few months ago, he probably would not have known who would emerge victorious between him and this little bastard. This little bastard was too terrifying. Once he stepped into the Saint Martial realm, no one would be able to keep him in check. No, I can't let the same accident happen again. This little bastard must die. Killing intent surged in Qin Yunlong's eyes. He could not let another accident happen. The killing intent in his eyes was cold. Amidst the killing intent in his eyes, he formed a hand seal. Light shot out from his palm, and runes spread out, creating ripples of energy. Swish swish. The others didn't feel anything from the energy ripples, but Master of Fire Thunder, Du Xiaoyao, Little Star, Du Tingxian, and the old monster of Green Fox felt their hearts skip a beat. They immediately fixed their eyes on the energy ripples. Walala! In an instant, a dazzling light spread out in front of Qin Yanlong. A banner, several feet in size, emitted a dazzling light. Then, as if it was facing the wind, it spread out in this vast space of spell potential. In an instant, rays of light blossomed. Images of the sun, moon, and stars rotated on the banner. Ferocious birds and strange beasts appeared, and mountains and rivers were revealed. Rumble. When this banner was unfurled, a torrential wave of heaven and earth energy surged. The formless, terrifying aura caused everyone's heart to palpitate. What kind of saint artifact is that? Its power is so terrifying. Buzz buzz. When the banner was revealed, there were people in the desolate country's army who were trembling. The Tao artifacts and dermic artifacts in their bodies also began to tremble for no reason, as if they were about to rush out and worship the banner. The power of that banner was too terrifying. It was as if it could suppress all weapons. When they saw that banner, Hualazi, Elder Lei, Du Tingxian, Zhang Qingchun, and the old monster green fox's expressions changed at the same time. That's the Dermic Saint flag. It's an important treasure of legalism. Qin Yanlong has already prepared it and brought it with him. In the Desolate Country's army, someone immediately recognized the origin of that banner. The last time the Desolate Country's army came, the patriarch of legalism, Li Chunfa, had activated the Dermic Saint flag in the inn to stop Du Xiaofu. Therefore, many people in the Desolate Country's army knew the power of the Dermic Saint flag. That banner was too powerful. Old bastard, you're too shameless. How shameless can you be? Bullying the young as an old man, and he even brought an important treasure of legalism with him. That old bastard. Can legalism be any more despicable and shameless? Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaoqing, and Little Tiger could not help but curse at this moment. In particular, Little Xingxing and Du Xiaoyao's eyes had already become a little solemn. From that battle, Du Xiaoyao and the others also knew very well that Qin Yanlong was much stronger than they had imagined. He was not someone the old monster green fox could compare to. At this moment, with the addition of the Dermic Saint flag, an important treasure of legalism, the consequences were worrying. Qin Yanlong, this old man, definitely had a plan with him since he brought the Dermic Saint flag with him. The Dermic Saint flag, the divine ancestor even brought the Dermic Saint flag with him. That little bastard is definitely going to die. After seeing the banner, the people of legalism in the Sky City smiled even more brightly, as if they had been injected with a cardiac stimulant at this moment. Qin Yanlong sneered. In the beginning, he was not afraid of Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, and the old monster green fox because he had the Dermic Saint flag with him. However, Qin Yanlong did not expect that he would have to use the Dermic Saint flag in the end to really deal with this little bastard. Whoosh! The Dermic Saint flag unfurled, and the shadows of stars rotated and erupted with endless light, like clouds hanging from the sky. In the end, it seemed to have merged with Qin Yanlong's magic power. Boom! In an instant, heaven and earth rumbled. The Daluo sword formation was suppressed in the void, and Du Xiaofu's void 8 trigrams diagram was also trembling. Everything is over. Qin Yanlong snorted coldly. The resplendent banner was accompanied by the power. Light erupted, bringing with it an incomparably terrifying phenomenon that crushed everything. Bang, bang, bang. The void exploded, and in an instant, it was as if the Milky Way had descended from the 9 heavens. The Dermic Saint flag and the magic power complemented each other, suppressing the Daluo sword formation in a crushing manner, causing the void 8 trigrams diagram to crack. Du Xiaofu's Scarlet Horse Monkey Primordial Spirit Meridian Spirit was also greatly affected. Du Xiaofu spat out another mouthful of blood. The perfect aura that was gradually rising in his body was also greatly affected. The Dermic Saint flag. Du Xiaofu's gaze was grave. It was the Dermic Saint flag again. He was no stranger to it. The Dermic Saint flag was strange. It carried the traces of a formation and also a terrifying ancient aura, as if it was dyed with the aura of ancient gods and demons. It was vast and unparalleled, and it was impossible to resist. Crack, crack. Under this kind of suppression, the void continuously exploded and sank. Runes shattered, and Du Xiaofu's void 8 trigrams diagram also cracked. Du Xiaofu spat out another mouthful of blood. The azure spirit armor on his body cracked, and the golden wings on his back dimmed. The 36 true Peng feathers were also crushed. Bang, bang, bang. The void 8 trigrams diagram cracked, and all kinds of phenomena continued to explode. Spatial waves rose, runes collapsed, and lightning flashed. The Scarlet Horse Monkey Meridian Spirit was also greatly affected. Even the spiritual lightning and lightning runes were suppressed. He's dead for sure. Little bastard is dead for sure. The legalism people began to become agitated again. Du Xiaofu was definitely not the sacred ancestor's match. He could not hold on any longer. Chapter 2193. Boom. Qin Yanlong's eyes were filled with killing intent. The Warlock Saint flag and the spell aura merged into one, producing a heavenly sound that sounded like countless heavenly drums being hammered. This sound was also filled with killing intent, causing all living beings in the world to tremble in fear. The entire sky seemed to have turned into a world of its own. A strange phenomenon appeared in the sky, and the light was resplendent, shocking everyone. Puffed. Under such pressure, Du Xiaofu spat out blood again, and the 8 trigrams diagram around him faded. The sword aura on the Daluo sword formation dissipated, leaving behind only a treasure sword that rippled with electric arcs. Buzz. The redbone horse monkey's primordial spirit was now covered by golden runes and turned into a 5-fingered mountain peak. Oh no, the Rock Emperor can't hold on anymore. Someone in the desolate country exclaimed. The Rock Emperor seemed to be unable to hold on. If this continued, he would be in danger. Legalism's Warlock Saint flag has been activated by Qin Yanlong. Coupled with Qin Yanlong's cultivation and legalism's spell aura, even a mid-stage Holy Martial Realm cultivator would find it difficult to resist. The green fox old monster frowned. He felt that he was no match for Qin Yanlong's Warlock Saint flag and the spell aura. The space within the spell aura was like a world of its own. Coupled with the Warlock Saint flag spreading out, it had already enveloped Du Xiaofu. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was under immense pressure. It was as if a divine mountain was pressing down on him from all directions, making it difficult for him to breathe. The boundless aura suppressed everything in his body, making Du Xiaofu deeply experience its boundless majesty. Boom! This world was rumbling, and the aura was monstrous. It was as if the universe had been turned upside down, and heaven and earth were shaking, about to destroy everything in this world. All kinds of ferocious beasts galloped, the sun, moon, and stars rotated, and the mountains and rivers trembled. There was an unfathomable aura that wanted to destroy and suppress everything. The golden wings on Du Xiaofu's back were falling off, their light dimming. Du Xiaofu's azure spirit armor crumbled inch by inch, revealing his body covered by the thunder martial vein. However, the thunder talisman was also dimming and his body was cracking. Du Xiaofu's face was as pale as ash. He was crushed by a great force, and blood began to spurt out from the corner of his mouth. That old thing is too strong. Dongfang Qingmu, Imo Tianxiao, Elder Lei, and the others all looked extremely serious. They were well aware of how powerful Du Xiaofu was and how freakish his physical body was. However, even Du Xiaofu had been crushed to such an extent. It was enough to show how terrifying Qin Yunlong was. That old bastard is actually using legalism's clan treasure. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to do anything. Little Xingxing and Du Xiaoyao cursed. They knew very well that if not for the magical sacred flag, Qin Yanlong might not have been able to do anything to Du Xiaofu. Rock Emperor, hang in there. You can't lose. Someone muttered to himself. He clenched his fists and weapons tightly and stared intently. However, the stronger one was, the more they knew that the Saint Realm was indeed a natural moat. The Demon King, Du Xiaofu, had not stepped into it in the end. Moreover, Qin Yanlong was not an ordinary saint martial artist. The power displayed by the fusion of the magical sacred flag and the magical sacred flag was already so terrifying that it shook the heavens and the earth, causing the surroundings to tremble. Du Tingxian looked at the sky. Lightning flashed in his eyes, and the divine thunder spear in his hand rippled with electric arcs. His expression was solemn. Legalism. A graceful figure swept across the sky. Her hair flowed freely. Like a fairy, she landed lightly in front of the courtyard. Xiaojing, are you here to see your mother? An old man appeared in front of the courtyard. When Du Xiaofu entered legalism for the second time, it was this old man who brought Du Xiaofu to the main hall. In the end, Du Xiaofu was suppressed by Han Ju. This old man's surname was Han. He was Han Aodong Sr. I'm here to take my mother out, Du Xiaojing said. He did not hide anything. Hearing this, the old man's expression changed slightly. He said, Your mother is cultivating. The divine ancestor intends to nurture your mother. It's not appropriate for her to go out now. Are you going to stop me? Du Xiaojing looked at the old man and said calmly, Xiaojing, you know what the consequences are. Why do you have to do this? This is already the best outcome. With the calamity before us, The school of legalism will be able to stay safe. You will also have a bright future ahead of you, the old man said sincerely. You can't stop me, Du Xiaojing said, and walked toward the courtyard. Whoosh! The old man appeared in front of Du Xiaojing. His old face was calm. He looked at Du Xiaojing and said, Child, I've been cultivating for a long time, but I'm no longer your opponent. I'm ashamed to say this, but I'm also happy that you're a descendant of legalism. However, if you want to take your mother away today, you'll have to walk over my dead body. You're my senior. You've also guided me in my cultivation. You know that I won't kill you. Du Xiaojing frowned. Creak. The wooden door of the courtyard was pushed open. A beautiful woman walked out. She was otherworldly. She walked over proudly for no reason. Mother. Du Xiaojing's red lips parted slightly. Her eyes were clear, and there was a smile on her face. Aodong. The old man turned around and looked at Han Aodong. It's been so many years. It's enough. Legalism still wants to bully us today? Han Aodong looked at the old man with the surname Han. There was a sense of majesty on her breathtaking face. Legalism is for the good of you and your mother. If you want to leave, you know the consequences. The desolate country and the Du family will not be at peace. The old man with the surname Han said. His words were sincere, and there was a hidden meaning behind them. Bang! A muffled sound was suddenly emitted when the old man with the surname Han's voice sounded. His body flew out like a stone being thrown. He spat out a mouthful of fresh blood and landed 1,000 feet away. It's enough for you to bully our family of 4. Next time, I won't hold back. Take care, Han Aodong said. Her eyes shone brightly as she opened them. Mother, brother is not dead. He's here. Father is here too, Du Xiaojing said to Han Aodong. She did not look at the old man with the surname Han. Your father and brother are here to pick us up. Han Aodong ran her fingers through her hair to hide the excitement in her heart. She also could not hide the nervousness in her heart. She looked at her daughter and said, Accompany mother back to the room. Mother wants to change her clothes to meet your father and brother. Okay. Du Xiaojing nodded and smiled. It was extremely moving. Is your father old now? No. He's still as valiant and elegant as ever, with a unique charm. 2 beautiful figures flew into the sky. The old man with the surname Han struggled to get up from the ground. His old face was mottled with blood at the corner of his mouth. He looked at the 2 beautiful figures, leaving with a complicated look in his eyes. In the sky, Du Xiaofu kept spitting out blood. However, he was not dispirited. He was still doing his best. Du Xiaofu wanted to break free from the suppression. The 36 feathers of the rock and the will of the golden-winged rock in his body were exploding. It was as if a humanoid rock was exerting its final power. Chapter 2194. Bang! A beam of starlight fell from the heavens and smashed into Du Xiaofu's body. Du Xiaofu was knocked back, and Du Xiaofu coughed up blood again. Du Xiaofu's body also began to crack, and his thunder martial vein had already dimmed. The Rock Emperor is already heavily injured. He can't fight anymore. The desolate country army was solemn. Everyone's eyes trembled. Under such heavy injuries, it would be difficult for him to hold on. Du Xiaofu can't hold on anymore. He's dead for sure. He still hasn't broken through to the Saint Realm. No matter how talented he is, what's the use? He's still going to stop here. If he doesn't enter the Saint Realm, he'll always be an ant. Sky City was in an uproar, and it was extremely noisy. Everyone who supported legalism was extremely happy. They were looking forward to Du Xiaofu's defeat, or even his death. At this moment, even Master Hua Lei's scarlet-blue flaming eyes had unknowingly turned serious. How could Master Hua Lei not feel that this brat really couldn't hold on anymore? It was already a miracle that he could hold on until now. Even if he was compared to those ancient paragons of the same realm, he would be able to sweep through all of them. However, Du Xiaofu was still holding on. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, and his cracked body was drenched in blood. It made him look even more ferocious. His eyes showed no fear on his pale face. It seemed like he was at his limit, but there were many times when Du Xiaofu relied on Feng Jijia's mysterious power to revive everything in his body, and he was still able to hold on. Everything is being suppressed. Even my primordial spirit and meridian spirit are being suppressed. If this continues, I'm really going to lose. Du Xiaofu muttered to himself. The feathers of the great Peng wings on his back had already shattered, leaving only 36 true Peng feathers that were about to wither and emit a golden light. Du Xiaofu was the clearest about his own condition. At this moment, the Daluo sword formation, meridian soul, and primordial spirit were also being suppressed. They were also exhausted to the extreme. Their bodies were cracked and blood flowed out. The indestructible Xin body could not withstand the pressure and was almost torn apart. Moo! Amidst the vision, Qin Yanlong's vain soul, Qi, roared as it came, wanting to destroy everything. Its huge body was extremely terrifying, as if it was going to crush the heavens. With the power of the spell and the warlock saint flag, its power was even more terrifying. Bang! This enormous hoe carried with it a monstrous force as it smashed into the five-fingered golden mountain peak formed by Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. The heavy impact caused everyone's heart to involuntarily tremble. The void rumbled and shattered, bringing with it mists as it erupted. Light overflowed into the heavens, as if it was going to devour everything. On the peak of the five-finger mountain, there were golden talisman patterns fluctuating. The aura caused the mountains to rumble, and they were knocked back continuously in the void. Du Xiaofu spat out another mouthful of blood. When his primordial spirit and meridian soul were struck, it was equivalent to his main body being struck by such a violent impact. Crack, crack, under everyone's gaze, several large cracks appeared on Du Xiaofu's physical body. His clothes were torn, and golden blood accompanied by faint purple electric arcs fluctuated. It was shocking. Brother, Rock Emperor, Brother Xiaofu is here. Hold on. Du Xiaoqing, Ghost Chariot, Tiger King, Du Shui, Du Hao, and the others gritted their teeth, their eyes trembling. They clenched their fists tightly, and their fingertips sank deep into their flesh. Roar! Du Xiaofu let out a loud roar. It sounded like a dragon's roar and a divine elephant's roar that exploded in the void. Roar! The dragon's roar and the elephant's cry were vast and mighty. The domineering roar was like heavenly thunder that reverberated endlessly. Electric arcs swept across, causing the world to tremble and the universe to rumble. Many phantoms that were pouncing towards the world formed by the combination of the power of the spell and the warlock saint flag were shattered and destroyed one after another. How perverted! As expected of the Demon King. In Sky City, the experts and disciples of legalism were secretly shocked. As expected of the Demon King. At this time, he was still able to mobilize such a terrifying aura. It was too ferocious and chilling. Pfft. Du Xiaofu kept vomiting blood. He was really exhausted and severely injured. His physical body was severely cracked and dripping with blood. If this continues, it will be a hopeless situation. Why can't I break through? Is it really a drumbeat of energy, then a decline of energy, and a depletion of energy by the third? Du Xiaofu thought to himself. If this continues, it will be a hopeless situation. He wanted to break through again, but in the end, he was still affected and failed, unable to take another step forward. I don't believe that anyone can stop me from breaking through. Du Xiaofu shouted in his heart. At this time, only a breakthrough could reverse the situation. Boom! His aura gushed out. Du Xiaofu's body was dazzling. A mysterious energy rolled out. He wanted to break through by force. He wanted to take another step forward in this hopeless situation and step into the sage realm. Du Xiaofu was very clear about his situation. Only a breakthrough could give him hope. Otherwise, he would stop here today. He still wants to break through. The eyes of all the experts present trembled. They could sense Du Xiaofu's intentions. Even at this moment, Devil King Du Xiaofu was still thinking of breaking through in the midst of battle. Humph, you overestimate yourself. There is no chance. Qin Yunlong sneered. Not to mention that the former's chances of breaking through were very slim. Basically, there was no chance of success. After failing again and again, how could he break through to the sage realm? Moreover, he would not give him another chance. Boom. Moo. Qin Yunlong's aura collapsed and suppressed Du Xiaofu's physical body. His meridian spirit Hui kept colliding with the 5 peaks, not giving Du Xiaofu any chance to breathe. Bang, bang. Du Xiaofu continued to hold on with his remaining strength. During this process, he kept trying to break through by force. His aura rose, but it was always blocked. It was as if there was an invisible hand isolating everything. His aura had risen to the bottleneck, but Du Xiaofu was still unable to break through. The situation was getting worse. Du Xiaofu was already an arrow at the end of its flight. His physical body had cracked, and his flesh was badly mutilated. Du Xiaofu's clothes were covered in blood. Even the Dapeng golden wings on his back were badly mutilated. Du Xiaofu's aura, which had just risen, was beaten down again. His aura became very sluggish, as if he could be killed at any time. At this moment, Qin Yunlong was also very shocked and depressed. At this point, he had even used the Warlock Saint flag and his Meridian Spirit. However, he was still unable to completely kill Yi Shiwen. That little bastard was too strange. His seemingly sluggish and cracked body was like a sponge. It was like a well deep in the mountains. It looked dry, but deep down, it was still wet and could not be completely dried up. Rock Emperor, Brother Xiaofu, the desolate country's army trembled and screamed in their hearts. That bloody figure could not calm them down. Whoosh, whoosh, from the sky, 2 graceful figures appeared in the void. They cut through the void and appeared. The 2 beautiful figures were in the sky. One of them had a graceful figure in a green dress. Her black hair fell to her perky buttocks. Her delicate face revealed an otherworldly elegance. The other was a beautiful woman, otherworldly. These 2 people were Du Xiaojing and Han Aodong. The movement in the void caught the attention of Han Aodong and Du Xiaojing immediately. When he saw that scene, purple lightning suddenly surged in Du Xiaojing's eyes. Xiaofu, my son. Han Aodong looked up and saw a young man covered in blood. It made her heart bleed. From her seemingly delicate body, a majestic and desolate aura rushed into the sky. She said in a delicate voice, "Haven't you bullied my family enough? Today, whoever dares to touch my son, I will fight them to the death." Her voice reverberated through the void. Many, Han Aodong and Du Xiaojing, are here. When they saw the mother and daughter, many of the legalism elders and experts suddenly became serious. Du Xiaojing had also recently stepped into the Saint Plane. If there were any changes, it would be a big problem. In front of the desolate country's army, Du Tingxian suddenly trembled. He immediately looked up at the Sky City. The 2 people he had been thinking about day and night had appeared there. Mother. Caught in a desperate situation, Du Xiaofu, who was in imminent danger, looked down and saw a familiar figure. It was his mother. "I will fight it out with you." "Mother!" Han Aodong shouted. Her voice was hoarse. In an instant, her blood qi rushed into the sky. The sound of wind and thunder rang out from her body. Her body was covered in runes. Her forehead shone. Her eyes were bright and her aura shook the sky. Seeing Anne's blood-stained figure, seeing Anne's blood-drenched figure, Han Aodong immediately flew into a rage. Madness was the nature of a mother. Boom! Bright runes rushed out from all around. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Han Aodong's figure was in the sky. The primordial spirit storm around her was magnificent and desolate. It had a pressure that could not be challenged. A vision appeared on the void paper, covering the world. A terrifying aura instantly filled the sky. It was as if it could suppress the world, destroy everything, and shatter the void. This aura made the experts of legalism present suddenly change their expressions. Over the years, Han Aodong's cultivation had become more and more powerful. She was not far from the Saint Plane. This is their end. No one can interfere. Today, your family will be reunited. Nothing will happen, Qin Tiangu said. A ripple appeared in Qin Tiangu's eyes without leaving a trace. He flicked his sleeve and immediately set up a screen of light above Sky City, isolating Han Aodong and Du Xiaojing from each other. Mother. Du Xiaojing's eyes swept over Huolei and little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, the green fox monster, and his father, Du Tingxian. His eyes flickered and he pulled his mother. In the Sky City, a middle-aged man with disheveled hair appeared on a tall building. He held a flagon of wine and drank alone. Du Xiaofu looked down at the sky. His eyes were blood red. He thought back to when his mother was imprisoned by Hanju in the legalism. Her tears were bloody and red. Those were tears of blood. That scene was still vivid in Du Xiaofu's mind, and anger burned in his chest. Veins bulged on Du Xiaofu's face. Purple gold lightning flickered in his eyes. They flickered with uncontrollable anger. At this moment, he was still being suppressed and was in imminent danger. He didn't even have the strength to fight for his life. He could only watch helplessly as his mother was blocked once again. He was powerless to do anything. A vein on his face twitched. "Mother!" Du Xiaofu shouted loudly like the roar of a dragon and the cry of an elephant. His fury was like the eruption of a volcano, and his voice went from low to high as he gradually roared. His face flushed red, veins popped out, and his expression was savage. "Break through! Break through!" Du Xiaofu roared. Along with his anger, his withering aura erupted like a volcano again. The disciples of legalism all felt a chill in their hearts for no reason. A feeling of horror surged from the depths of their souls. The Demon King was just too savage. Chapter 2195. Translator. H2 to Mr. Boom. Du Xiaofu was enraged. He used all his strength to break through. Heaven and earth resonated, and his aura shook the sky. With Du Xiaofu as the center, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Golden light filled the air, and golden runes appeared around him. It was as if the shadow of the rock was condensed again. Looking up at the sky, Du Xiaofu tried to break through to the Saint Plane. Golden runes continued to rush toward the bottleneck, communicating with a holy aura. No way. Can this guy really break through? Some strong cultivators were astonished. Looking at the aura on Du Xiaofu's body, there were signs that he was about to break through. It can't be. It's almost impossible to break through after the first failure of the Saint Plane. This Demon King has failed consecutively. Can he still break through? Some people were doubtful and refused to believe it. In ancient times, when heavenly sovereigns ruled the world, they had never heard of anyone who failed to break through to the Saint Plane one after another and succeeded in the end. That was almost impossible. While everyone was guessing and doubting, Qin Yunlong's face was gloomy. He could not accept the fact that this little bastard was so strange after such a long battle. Qin Yanlong's heart sank. Within the momentum of the spell and the wizard's saint flag, stars rolled and divine birds and strange beasts appeared in the sky, as if they were pushing the world. With brilliant talisman patterns and terrifying attacks, they continued to crush Du Xiaofu. Qin Yunlong wanted to kill Du Xiaofu completely. He would not give Du Xiaofu any chance. Too strong. The strong cultivators of the desolate country army were shocked. Qin Yunlong's cultivation and the warlock's saint flag were too strong. The huge power seemed to be able to control heaven and earth. It was hair-raising. Du Xiaofu was once again crushed by such a huge force. His body shook and blood flowed out. Blood dripped from the corner of his mouth. He was once again seriously injured. It was too horrible to look at. "Xiaofu!" On the city in the sky, Han Aodong screamed. Her heart was bleeding. "Father, hold on." At this moment, little Xingxing's tiny fists were tightly clenched together as golden flames flickered in his eyes. "Rock Emperor, Brother Xiaofu." The disciples of the desolate nation and the Du family were all screaming in their hearts. Why? Why isn't it enough? Is the heavens trying to stop me? Du Xiaofu shouted in his heart. At this moment, he was in despair. If this continued, he would definitely die. Having been severely injured, Du Xiaofu's body found it increasingly difficult to hold on. His essence soul bloodline soul was being suppressed by the Hui bloodline soul. The situation was getting worse and worse, and the crisis had reached its peak. Drip, drip, Du Xiaofu's entire body was covered in golden blood. From the moment he walked out of the Stone City until now, this battle might not have been the most dangerous, but it was definitely the most powerless. He could be completely suppressed at any time and be seriously injured to the extreme. The situation was too dangerous. I can't break through. I can't break through no matter what. Du Xiaofu realized the seriousness of the problem. He had been unable to break through. He had exhausted all his means, but to no avail. No matter how hard he tried to break through, it would be useless. Du Xiaofu finally understood. No wonder people said that once one failed to break through to the holy martial realm, it would get harder and harder. He had failed repeatedly, which meant that it was impossible for him to step into the holy martial realm. Why can't I? I can't accept this. Du Xiaofu was furious. He could feel the breakthrough, but he just couldn't. Was the heavens trying to stop him? Or was he missing something? Breakthrough, Du Xiaofu roared again. He was still unwilling to give up. While fighting against Qin Yanlong, he unleashed the power hidden in his bones and tried his best to break through. Bang! Du Xiaofu suffered another strike, and he was blasted backwards. His body flew through the air, shattering the void, and blood splattered all over. Before the rising aura could start, it dissipated again. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. Du Xiaofu struggled to get up in the void. The golden wings on his back had withered and broken, dripping with blood. The 36 feathers of the rock were also cracked, as if they were about to shatter. Du Xiaofu had failed, but he was unwilling to accept this. There was a kind of unparalleled brutality and madness in him. Du Xiaofu's body was almost completely cracked, revealing his golden bones and flowing blood. Xiaofu, my child. Han Aodong's eyes were bloodshot, and her voice was filled with pain. That was her flesh and blood, who had been tortured since birth. Almost all the pain in the world had fallen on him, but her child had gritted his teeth time and time again, rising through miracles to counterattack. However, at this moment, legalism was still unwilling to let him go and wanted to kill him as soon as possible. This was her child, her flesh and blood. Looking at the bloody, bone-deep body that was about to be torn apart, Han Aodong felt more pain than if she had been injured herself. Mother, Big Brother will be fine. I believe in Big Brother. I believe that Big Brother will be fine. Du Xiaojing pulled her mother, and her eyes were already wet. Looking at the young man who was bleeding in the void, Du Xiaojing felt a kind of stubbornness and unwillingness. She felt that he was not discouraged. This was the hope that her brother had given her. Qin Tiangu stood quietly in the void, as if he had traveled through time and space and descended directly from the ancient times. Looking at Du Xiaofu, Qin Tiangu's heart was also stirred. He had lived in that era and was once a peerless paragon. What kind of descendants had he not seen? What kind of mysterious and amazing talents had he not seen before? Many young paragons had shocked the ancient times, but in the end, they all died. There was a saying since ancient times that paragons were like beautiful women, and they were not allowed to see white hair. Therefore, Qin Tiangu had seen too many stunning paragons, but in the end, they could not continue on and lost their brilliance and were about to fall. But at this moment, looking at the young man who was dripping with blood, Qin Tiangu could not help but feel moved. Such a junior had given him too much of a shock. In the ancient times, he would be able to sweep across all directions. Once he grew to the end, he would shake the 9 heavens. Qin Tiangu could not help but think that if such a junior could be used by legalism, how immeasurable would that be? He would be able to help legalism prosper. Unfortunately, such a young man in legalism would not rest until one of them was dead. At this time, he could only solve it. Otherwise, legalism would not prosper, but be annihilated. Peft! Du Xiaofu was vomiting blood nonstop. His entire chest was soaked with blood. Failure after failure, heavy injuries after heavy injuries. Du Xiaofu felt that he had really reached the end of his life. He had no more strength left. There seems to be something different. It's a strange feeling. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu calmed down after a short period of contemplation. He also felt something strange in his body. Du Xiaofu could feel that every time he failed to break through, the mysterious energy didn't completely dissipate. He did not know if it was because of Fang Jijia's ultimacy or the immortal Shen body, but there was a trace of mysterious energy that was actually left in the depths of his physical body. Even he could not detect it. If his physical body had not suffered such heavy injuries, coupled with the calmness just now, Du Xiaofu would not have been able to detect it. Bang! In this short period of time, Du Xiaofu was suppressed again. The shadows of the divine birds and ferocious beasts were like living creatures. They crushed Du Xiaofu's body fiercely. Du Xiaofu could not avoid it and was sent flying. Du Xiaofu vomited blood, and the cracks on his body became more and more severe. However, under the shocked gazes of the crowd, Du Xiaofu struggled to fight again. Oh my God! Some of the legalism experts in Sky City could not help but exclaim. At this point, the Demon King was still able to hold on. The Rock Emperor. The desolate country's army cried out in alarm, worried that the blood-stained figure would fall and disappear. There really is something different. After Du Xiaofu struggled to get up, his pale face revealed some doubt and surprise. Du Xiaofu felt that every time Qin Yanlong suppressed him, the mysterious energy was able to integrate more and more with his bones and body. He was able to suppress the mysterious energy into the depths of his body. Du Xiaofu even felt that the reason he was able to withstand Qin Yanlong's heavy blows time and time again was because of Fang Jijia's profound meaning, the immortal Xin body, and the foundation of the golden-winged rock body. However, this was not all. The mysterious energy in his body was also an important reason. When Qin Yanlong's suppressive attacks fell on his body, his immortal Xin body and Fang Jijia's profound meaning coincidentally merged with the mysterious energy into the depths of his body. Du Xiaofu carefully sensed that as the mysterious energy merged with the depths of his body, it became exceptionally strong. There was a vague feeling of boundless vastness. It was very mysterious. This feeling made Du Xiaofu estimate that if enough of the mysterious energy entered his body, then his body would reach a higher level. He would be able to sublimate himself in this desperate situation. At that time, there would be unexpected benefits. Unfortunately, the mysterious energy would only leave a part of it in his body after a forced breakthrough failed and dissipated. Moreover, it was only with the help of Qin Yanlong's suppression that the mysterious energy could perfectly merge with his body. I can't break through to the Saint Realm, but if my body can sublimate at this time, then I might be able to obtain endless benefits. Chapter 2196. Translator. H2DH2 Mr. Du Xiaofu muttered to himself, deep in thought. However, it was too dangerous to do so. Once he could not withstand Qin Yunlong's suppression, he would face the real danger of being destroyed, both body and soul. Sensing the change in Du Xiaofu, Qin Yunlong was puzzled. That kid seemed to have suddenly felt something different. There's no way out. I'll take the risk and break through the bottleneck. I'll borrow the power to reach the extreme. Du Xiaofu quickly made a decision. At this point, there was no way out but to retreat. Looking at his mother and sister below Sky City from the corner of his eye, Du Xiaofu knew he had to take the risk. Retreating was never Du Xiaofu's choice. Breakthrough for me. Du Xiaofu gritted his teeth, his whole body glowing, like a spring gushing out from a well that was on the verge of drying up. A golden light surged out, shaking the void as he tried to break through again. It can't be. This Demon King is still thinking about breaking through to the Saint Realm. Many people were shocked. At this point, it was difficult to even escape. The Demon King was seriously injured to such an extent, and he clearly knew that the chances of breaking through were slim, yet he was still trying to break through. This was too cruel. Was he not afraid of death? Death is near, and you still want to break through. You overestimate yourself. Qin Yunlong shouted. His voice was like thunder, and his momentum collapsed. It transformed into a giant palm that emitted a resplendent radiance. Mysterious runes interweaved, and it was as resplendent as the sun as it bombarded towards Du Xiaofu. Come! Du Xiaofu shouted, savage and cruel, violent and awe-inspiring. Boom! Du Xiaofu was sent flying again, spitting out blood. Golden blood spurted out from his body. The supreme blood did not dissipate, rising again, and the aura of breaking through also dissipated again. Qi. In the space not far away, Du Xiaofu got up again. He stood in the void with blood dripping from the corners of his mouth. However, there was a sneer in his eyes. Everything was going according to Du Xiaofu's plan. This time, he purposely made use of Qin Yanlong's power to capture even more of the mysterious power brought about by the forced breakthrough and fused it into the depths of his body. It was as if a seed had been buried in the depths of his body. The The seemingly broken body was the soil in which the seed had been planted. In the depths of the mottled soil, a seed was taking root and sprouting. As long as it was fertilized and watered, sooner or later, some new life would break out of the soil and blossom with vitality. Raising his blood-stained hand, Du Xiaofu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. A cold smile appeared on his face, but it only made him look even more ferocious. Breakthrough? No one can stop me from breaking through, not even the heavens. Du Xiaofu roared. He exhausted all his strength and burned his blood to break through the bottleneck again. He wanted to break through to the Saint Martial realm. Everyone was dumbfounded and their eyes were dull. At this time, the Demon King still wanted to break through. He knew it was impossible, but he still did it. He was so cruel. Outside Sky City, in the vast plaza, this huge commotion had already attracted many powerhouses. They stood far away and did not dare to approach. However, when they saw the terrifying commotion in front of them, they were so shocked that their hearts trembled. The Demon King, Du Xiaofu, is not dead. He is fighting with the divine ancestor of legalism, Qin Yanlong. The Demon King has failed to break through again and again, but he is still trying to break through. How cruel. Qin Yanlong has been a Saint Martial realm expert for a long time. The Demon King is so strong that he can fight to this extent. As expected of the Demon King, the onlookers watched from afar and felt their hair stand on end. They were terrified. In my world, I am the heavens. I can't even protect myself, let alone break through. Qin Yanlong roared. He actually did not kill that brat. This was too strange. If he continued to fight, he would lose face. Rumble. He could no longer maintain his face. Qin Yanlong formed a hand seal and the Dharma Sage flag unfurled in the void. Strange phenomena appeared in the sky all around. It was as if a god had appeared and pushed the sun, moon, and stars. It carried the mountains, rivers, and earth and directly suppressed Du Xiaofu. This kind of power was too great. Du Xiaofu did not dare to take it head-on. Qin Yanlong wanted to kill him. Purple Gold Heavenly Tower, Daluo Sword Formation. Help me, Du Xiaofu said. The purple gold heavenly tower in his palm that he had not used yet left his hand. Buzz. Wind and thunder resounded. The purple gold heavenly tower appeared in the sky. It was as if a phoenix was facing the sun, as if a divine turtle was entrenched. A dazzling light erupted like a suppressed volcano. Dazzling talisman runes soared into the sky, causing wind and thunder to blow. Ghosts cried and gods howled as if there were gods and demons roaring. Rumble, rumble. A terrifying demonic aura swept out, and the void trembled violently. As the purple gold light bloomed, the god of weapons appeared in the sky. It was as if an azure dragon had soared into the sky and dominated the 9 heavens. With the appearance of such a divine weapon, the surrounding void collapsed. The terrifying aura made one's soul tremble. This was the power of the purple gold heavenly tower itself. With Du Xiaofu's current situation, he was unable to activate the purple gold heavenly tower. He could only rely on the purple gold heavenly tower itself. That's the Demon King's weapon. It's a divine weapon. Divine. When the purple gold heavenly tower appeared in the sky, everyone was shocked. The powerful power was as if a peerless demon had awakened and was looking down on the world. It was enough to destroy everything. Oh, the appearance of the peerless divine weapon was accompanied by the cries of dragons and tigers, as well as the cries of birds and tortoises. In an instant, within the dazzling purple gold runes, the shadows of a green dragon, a white tiger, a phoenix, and a black tortoise appeared. When the shadows of the 4 beasts appeared, the space around them collapsed. The shocking pressure became even more shocking. The aura of the peerless divine weapon spread out, directly occupying the sky. The terrifying aura of the 4-headed shadows surged in all directions, blotting out the heavens and the earth. As the terrifying sword chi swept through the air, streaks of sword light flew out, causing cracks to appear on the surface of the spatial ripples. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The Daluo sword formation also erupted at the end. Resplendent sword light tore through the air, intimidating the soul. Rumble. This kind of collision caused the void to sink and explode unceasingly. Everyone was terrified as they stared into the depths of the void. However, the weaker beings didn't even dare to raise their heads. Just a glance at the collision was too much for them to bear. After a few seconds, everything calmed down a little. Puffed, puffed. Under many trembling gazes, Du Xiaofu spat out blood. His body was blasted away once more, and blood poured out like a waterfall. The purple-gold heavenly tower and the Daluo sword formation dimmed. The sword light and the four beasts were crushed. Come, Qin Yunlong shouted. The wizarding saint flag spread out from the void like a tornado. Accompanied by a powerful force, it was resplendent and dazzling. With a supreme force, it enveloped the Daluo sword formation behind the purple-gold heavenly tower. Regardless of whether it was the Daluo sword formation or the purple-gold heavenly tower, how could Qin Yunlong not be tempted by such treasures? Qin Yunlong was sure that if these two treasures fell into his hands and he refined them, they would be enough to help him dominate the world. Buzz! Oh, the Daluo sword formation and the purple-gold heavenly tower rumbled. They wanted to break free from the wizarding saint flag's imprisonment, but they were suppressed by the wizarding saint flag's supreme force and could not break free. In the end, they were completely imprisoned by the wizarding saint flag, sealed by the might of the wizarding saint flag. Du Xiaofu stood up again. His body had cracked to a terrifying extent. His body was almost completely shattered. His bones were dripping with blood, and his skin was torn open. Even his internal organs could be seen in a few large cracks. When he saw Du Xiaofu stand up, Qin Yunlong could no longer remain calm. Qin Yunlong really didn't want to believe it, nor could he accept everything. Even at this stage, that little bastard was like an unkillable cockroach that could get up again and again. If it were anyone else, even 100 lives wouldn't be enough. Break through for me. Du Xiaofu stood up and roared. He used all his strength and rushed out of his body once again. He wanted to break through the bottleneck and forcefully break through. Rumble. Perhaps it was because Du Xiaofu's stubbornness and ferocity time and time again that it resonated with heaven and earth. The surroundings trembled, and light overflowed into the sky. Du Xiaofu seemed to have connected heaven and earth. An extremely terrifying wave descended from the depths of the void. Pressure surged and rumbled with his body. A mysterious saintly might filled the sky. Oh my God, he can't really succeed, right? There were experts who cried out in alarm. They were extremely shocked. I've said it before. This is my world, and I am the heavens. How can you go against the heavens? Qin Yunlong roared angrily. His expression was already cold. He threw out a punch, and accompanied by the roars of divine birds and ferocious beasts, it collapsed heavily. Rumble. Such a punch shattered the void and sent Du Xiaofu flying again. Such a heavy blow caused Du Xiaofu to vomit blood and cry out in pain. At this point of exhaustion, such a heavy blow was too heavy. Du Xiaofu felt like his body was about to shatter, and his flesh was about to be smashed into meat paste. Although Du Xiaofu had experienced the tempering of his physical body countless times, it was still unbearable. Such an intense pain was still unbearable. It was too torturous. It was a painful torment. However, Du Xiaofu didn't forget his original intention. With Qin Yunlong's strength, he let the mysterious power left behind by the failure of the breakthrough fuse into the depths of his physical body. This breakthrough caused a huge commotion, and the mysterious power left behind was also extraordinarily large. This mysterious power came from heaven and earth. Under Qin Yunlong's heavy blow, it helped Du Xiaofu fuse into the depths of his physical body. When this mysterious power entered Du Xiaofu's physical body, it emitted a divine brilliance with auspicious clouds. However, it was undetectable in the depths of his physical body. However, the power just now was extraordinarily large. In addition to Qin Yunlong's heavy blow, Du Xiaofu's physical body was already on the verge of cracking. It was as if Du Xiaofu was going to be completely torn apart. Du Xiaofu screamed again. He was coughing up blood, and blood was flowing out of his body. The cracks all over his body were also intensifying. He was like a bomb that could explode at any time. Fuse completely. Du Xiaofu roared in his heart again. He gritted his teeth and endured everything. With the help of Qin Yunlong's strength, he guided the mysterious power into the depths of his physical body. Finally, it covered his entire body, and he wanted to complete the ultimate sublimation of his physical body. Du Xiaofu wanted his physical body to obtain supreme benefits. Since he couldn't really break through to the Saint Realm, his physical body was his only choice. There was no way back.